Salute. Affirmed. Hey, I'm gonna cut the music off when the debate's over. Hey, B1, watch this. We're gonna cut the music off when the debate's over. Hey, salute. Is the music coming in clear? Hey, hot 12 bars already. Since I'm on limited time, I might as well just defend it in rhymes. Kill them with nothing but lyrical punchlines. Hey, already. It said I was live all day. That's crazy. All right, man, I'm gonna have to cut the music off when the debate's over, so hopefully you like it. Y'all ready? Today's debate is, are black people competing? No? Okay. Boom. Debate's over already. Y'all get no music no more. The debate's over already. I should have turned on the music and just had a freestyle session for the rest of the time. And every time they told me to talk, turn the music back on and just start freestyling about anything, because the debate was already over. Bruh. Hey, let me do that one more time in case somebody missed it. Did y'all catch that immediately? The debate is, are we competing as a black society? I am under the mind state that no, we're not. What are the very next words that come out of his mouth? I got to play it again, because if I just say it, sometimes it goes right over people's heads. So I'm going to turn the music back up. All right, we're going to try that again. Hey. Well, since I'm on limited time, might as well kill them with lyrical punchlines. Hey. We're gonna get into it. Hey. But you know the music's going off when the debate's over. Since I'm on limited time, might as well kill them with lyrical punchlines. Hey. Bam! Just like that. So which one is it? Kenny, I got the beat from LV Williams Beats off of SoundClick. I like to go over there every once in a while. That's where the beats are housed, or the producers come together and they put their music out there on that platform. And then sometimes they have sweet deals like buy one, get three free. Get one for like 25,000. And the reason that I like them is because some of them on their contracts, you can get up to like 100,000 spins. Others, you can get like 10,000, just depending on whoever it is that you get the beat from. And so I got that one. I think that one's a 25,000 streams. I mean, and because I don't get a lot of viewers on my streams, that is a whole lot of action that we can get off of one beat. So with that being said, man, the debate started and the debate ended just that fast. I hope you all were there. It was an easy first round knockout where the guy, they got a great ring walk, and you know, they greet the fans and they dapping up and they doing all of that and they get all the way in there. There was a national anthem that was sang. It was great. You should have heard it. It was like old school Whitney, and Whitney was blowing. And don't worry, Miss La, I'm gonna play the debate for you one more time. Again, it just happened so quick that sometimes, you know, we gotta recap that with a little debate, post debate analysis. But yeah, so eventually he walks out. The ring lady sings, and David Buffer was like, "Let's get ready to rumble," and they did all of that. And then the bell rung, bing, and then they come out and he socked himself in the face. And he socked himself in his face, and it was an instant knockout. And at that point where he hit himself, I was squaring up and I looked and I said, damn, this dude just knocked himself out. What happens in argumentation and debate is that two sides are given a topic, and that topic might change a little bit and it might move a little bit, but it's always ironed out before you get to the debate. And it gives you time, if you prepared any information, to make your pivots. I had about 3 different slideshow presentations that I had just in case. I had one with just rebuttals on there because, you know, you can kind of anticipate what would be some of the things that somebody would say if they're trying to argue against the Black society. What are some of the hate that we've always received? What are some of their major talker points, right? So slavery, he's going to talk about slavery, and he's going to talk about Jim Crow and all of those things. So I had to make sure that I was ironed out on the time frames from slavery to Reconstruction, Jim Crow, some of the major paradigm shifts that had happened. And then some of the major ones, here's how far I went. I actually started getting information just related to soldiers, thinking that if I said it to somebody who is a soldier, who feels his whole livelihood is dependent upon this government check, and I show him the information where that's not always the case, then maybe he could understand that way. But he wasn't able to get it. He doesn't understand that sequestration is still happening now, 2019 and 2020, were the only years of sequestration, which is the budget cut. Remember, the budget was moving too fast. And so they were like, well, we're going to give you this quantitative easing, this money, but we expect for you to make budget cuts. That's sequestration. You can look it up. But sequestration is a cap on the spending, and it's supposed to be cuts of some hundreds of billions of dollars. And for the most part, the military had been protected. But in this case of sequestration, because the military spending is so much there's so much of a consumption, the government is, the cuts actually didn't miss the military. They were able to come back and argue against it and get the military exempt for 2019 and 2020. But by the time he gets out, it will no longer be exempt. And so for him to say government jobs are a good thing, no. As society starts to restrict, as we start to try to concentrate wealth in other areas, especially like in immigration and things like that, or we get pro-business, as you want to call it, as we get more pro-business, the government shrinks, and even those government jobs start to get wiped out a bit. And so even with me doing my research beforehand, finding information that was relevant to this Black man, he still dropped the ball. He comes out, the fat lady sings, "Let's get ready to rumble," squares up, they ring the bell, and he socks himself in the face and says some crazy shit. So I'm going to turn my music up, and I'm going to play it one more time just in case somebody missed it, because the entire debate was that fast. We can get into some of the subtle nuances of what happened afterwards, but we're going to start right there and just establish this premise so that B1 knows this debate was over at the beginning. Turn my damn music back up. That's my super dab. I get it from my daughter. Did y'all hear that? Does anybody miss where he socked himself in the face? How do I turn this thing back just a little bit? There we go. Can y'all hear that, or is it just me? Hold on, let me share my screen. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it's just me. Here we go. I'm gonna try it this way, see if this works. Share screen. Let's share this one with the audio. I've been tripping. Y'all ain't even tell me. Y'all probably hearing it from my headphones, but not the actual.
All these things, especially things most along the economic standpoint, which is the most important aspect.
Can y'all hear him speaking now?
That we live in America, we are underperforming greatly, and you can look at everything from the poverty.
Can you hear the man now?
The largest, impoverished.
Going second. So,
all right, so we're gonna.
I believe
turn
Brother
that music
Fantastic is the negative, so he'll be going first. And I hate to say this every time we start, but I got to do it. I know
It's
a
my
lot
shimmy.
of Brother Fantastic's fans.
I kill him with that one in the club.
I know a lot of Brother Moses fans are in the audience. I ask you, Brother Fantastic's fans, please do not disrespect Brother Moses.
Since I'm on limited
Brother
time,
Moses
I might as well
fans,
kill him with lyrical
please
punchlines.
do not disrespect Brother Fantastic. My moderators, y'all already know how we do this, okay? I don't care if people discuss. I don't care if people disagree, but I will not tolerate disrespect to my guests. That's where I draw the line. I'll say again, discuss, disagree, do not disrespect my guests. If they do disrespect the guests, you know what to do. No timeout, none of that shit.
Time bandit, salute.
Heads off, let them go ahead and dislike the video and talk shit about me and some other shit like that. I don't care. But my guests are not going to be disrespected. So my moderators, y'all already know what it is. But don't be timing people out and blocking them for just disagreeing.
I'm trying to get y'all some music because the debate is over so quick.
All right. So y'all ready to debate? Brother Supreme, you ready with the time and all of that?
Yes. You just tell me the time interval at the whatever point, and then I'll keep track of it and I'll post it. I'll post it in the chat from time to time.
Okay, well, we're not going to stick to the 10-minute opening round because that's too goddamn long for Negroes to be speaking. So what we're going to do, we'll do 7 minutes. We'll do 7 minutes.
Hey, Taz, they was trying to let you have it in the chat. I thought Jessica was cool, man.
Opening,
she started trying to cook.
All right.
I said, what is she doing? Does she really want attention like
that?
At
7 minutes, so
hey, I guess
pull the trigger, brothers.
Oh, here we go. Let me turn it down a little bit.
So me, I guess starting out.
Yep.
Again, man, thank you, X, for having me on, man. My respect to everyone that's in attendance. Brother Moses, the timekeeper, SKC, and everybody paying attention. So today,
stop right there. First thing he's going to do is tell you what the debate is. All right, he's going to tell you what the topic is, so he knows exactly what the topic is. So let's do that. Let's let him establish it for himself. I'm telling you, he walked in that ring and he socked himself in the face immediately. And at that point, I might as well have just played music for the entire.
Today's debate is about are Black people competing?
Today's debate is about are Black people competing, right? It says it in the title. In fact, I could tell you what the entire title says. Let me do that. When we were coming together, these are the terms that actually were laid out. We get at it with Brother Fantastic versus Brother Moses. They debate, are we as a people competing? ... big ass question mark. That means that's one section of the debate. Or is the system holding many of us back? ... That's another position in the debate. And then finally, what are the things that stand in our way? ... Question mark. Or do we create our own barriers? So throughout the entire debate, not only did I tell you that we are competing as a people, I gave them some extra homework by saying, look, here's the way that we're competing even internationally, not just domestically. And then, is the system holding us back? I gave clear examples of that. What are the things that stand in our way? Clear examples of that when it comes to social, political, and economic. That was my premise. Or do we create our own barriers? No, we've created our own solutions to the current conditions. So that's what I laid out according to what the title says. Now, I'm not sure where they missed that, but he did confirm at the very least, the very beginning, which is, are blacks competing, was his position, was the debate. So let's see what he says next.
And I'm in the mindset of no, we are not.
Did anybody miss that? Maybe I'm just speaking to the crowd when I say that. Maybe somebody missed it. I am in the mind that no, we are not. So I know it's a hard position to take from B1's perspective. It's like, are we competing? What are we doing here? Why are you on YouTube trying to go at Taz talking about this as a competition? Why is B1 Network come out of your mouth almost every day? You must think that you're competing. Oh, I get it. You think that you're only competing amongst Negroes. Intra-group competition. I don't mind that at all. I prefer intra-group collaboration, like the barbershop, where each of us can have our own chair, but we represent the entire brand. And that's just something that kept flying over that dude's head. And so let's see what he says next as an equivocation, which I called out throughout the debate and at the very end. So he says, I know what the debate is. Are we competing? Then he states his claim. I am under the belief or under the thought, no, we are not.
We are competing to a degree, but no.
Do you have to say anything after that for post-debate analysis? Is there anything more to say after he does that? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it was too easy. And at that point, me doing all of this extra work and talking about domestics and talking about median incomes, and then even trying to challenge him, look, how do you actually feel about immigration, since that's where your premise is? You're talking about the Asian community. You're talking about all of these others who are doing better than us. It's a subsection of America. The people who are here in the hundreds of thousands and in the millions, you're saying they're doing better than us, as if you don't understand the numbers. So I give you all of this information about the numbers, but your problem is actually math, not literacy. You read something, but you read it wrong. It's not that you can't read, but that you don't synthesize information well. And maybe I was talking over his head, but that was within his first minute of speaking, where he established the premise. The debate is, are we competing? He's under the mind state that no, we are not. And moves directly into, well, we are, but debate's over. Turn the damn music up. I'm gonna stop with that shit though, because to me it's still a serious issue, and we still have information that has to be the misinformation that was put out has to be corrected, and then for the most part. I feel like I could have went in deeper if the debate actually would have went there, but because he kind of just pulled into some, I guess, bullshit position, we didn't actually get to have the conversation about immigration. We didn't actually get to talk about immigrant earnings. We didn't get to break that down and say, well, how are they quantifying? Let's imagine you are an immigrant. Were you one of the ones who came over for a job? Were you one of the ones who came over because you had the job prior, so they requested you? They sponsored you, HB1 visas, which is where I'm at. I talk about the talented 10th because I'm critical of the talented 10th. But is that where your focus is? Is it them or is it the refugees? We know that both come over, undocumented workers or whatever it is, as well as those who are sponsored. Those who are sponsored would be the ones who are coming over for jobs or education. Damn, this shit's probably going to keep giving me these notifications, even though it sees that I'm live. Oh, let me do this while I'm doing it, just in case. My guy, bro, Rob told me to actually go live and have the conversation. You know me, I'm as humble as it gets. I even went over to his platform and said, thanks for coming out, man. Thanks for all your members. Because, you know, I'm one of the big unifiers. We're all Black YouTube. And we started off the year with a hell of a debate, whether people learned from it, like it, love it. It's about, you know, traveling. I brought in all of that international shit. It's about the whole media. What do we look like as men? And then there was even a degree of professionalism or decorum that we were able to even uphold. So I even went over there and said, you know what? Salute to y'all. Salute to everybody that follows you that actually showed up to the debate and had that conversation. It's the same thing if we were actually boxing in that ring, where I would have walked over, shook the coach's hand, shook everybody's hand, said thank you, and then came back over. And so, but we still got to get back into the information at some point. We got to get to the real information. So I did a little bit more, pulled it out. This one wasn't in my slide presentations. It's too much, but I'll go through it right now. One of the major contentions was just on immigrant earnings. So if you're looking at these other demographics, it's going to be critical that you know when the fuck did they get here? What up, bro, Rob? Hey, you the one told me to go live and you didn't get the notification. Look what I'm gonna do though. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to invite. I'm gonna drop the link directly in, and this one will be open. I won't even have to send it to Gmail. Put that joint on in there. And there we go. So this is from the Social Security Administration, right? And they, well, Moses, what kind of links are you using? Don't worry. What kind of sources are you using? I substantiated my claims with some of the highest sources that one might have, like the World Bank, and they still have a problem with that. No, that is you should have said thank you for that. That is research that is there as we continue to have these conversations about our opportunities here in America. They should have said thank you, but instead they was like, well, where did he get those sources from? Piece of black pie, George Macon too, man. Hey, I saw you this morning. Every time I tried to click the link, it was not allowing me to get on though. So I caught like just a snippet and then it went out, and it may just be the Wi-Fi in my building. Anyway, so just a little additional research on those immigrant earnings, because this is the topic that they want to keep running from when they're saying, well, other people are doing better. And they're trying to find the correlation between how is it that these new motherfuckers are outperforming the native foreign-born Americans. And that's the question that they're actually dealing with, which I thought would be a good one, but he was not able to actually dive into. Give me about 8 minutes, time bandit, and I'll bring you on. Give me about 8 minutes and I'll bring you on. I just want to run through this research on immigrant earnings real quick, just so that they know I was speaking in facts and not just giving opinion pieces. All right, so this was the first in 3 different articles that was developed by them. As we see here, the authors are from the Division of Economic Research, which I told them I do economics. The rest of that shit is just candy. Evaluation and statistics. In summary, they're looking to incorporate some immigration into their policy models, right? I'll show you why that's important a little bit later. Let me see, is this actually cutting off my screen or is it letting you? Oh, man, god damn, they don't optimize they damn screens and shit. Stupid ass. That's why the government is full of glitches, first of all. People praising the government jobs, full of glitches. I can't even zoom all the way in. It's just moving all the way off. But anyway, they have several findings. Controlling for demographic and human capital characteristics, immigrants often start their U.S. lives at substantially lower earnings, but they experience faster earnings growth than natives with comparable years of education and experience. So across the board, we got the same degree or whatever. It's that high school GED, diploma, whatever equivalency test that they were able to take. The extent to which the earnings trajectories of immigrants and natives differ varies by the country of origin. Remember that. With the source country, so where did this immigrant depart from? All right, that level of economic development is the key determinant of the size of the US born, foreign born difference. So the difference between what they make once they get here is contingent upon their country of origin. Now, you can't say all of that in a 4-minute rebuttal or a 3-minute debate. With the source country's level of economic development being the key determinant, all right? So the earnings profile of immigrants from economically developed countries, which is what I was trying to give his dumbass, such as Japan, which is the Asian argument, Canada, or Western Europe, which is why I gave him Spain, which also has 46 million. But out of all of those countries on the list, I had to find one that was the equivalent in population size, just like them. And what is your unemployment? They're at like 23, we're at 22. You have to control for those. You can't just pull a country out of the hat. Argentina, they're Hispanic. You can't do that. You have to have controlled variables. And it just shows the laziness or the disrespect that he had towards me in this debate by not actually doing credible research and just throwing shit off the cuff as if it was going to fly. And I just drop it, leave it right there. But it starts there with the profile of the country they came from. Japan, Western Europe, resemble those of the U.S. natives who are of the same age and the same education level. In contrast, the earnings of immigrants from developing nations, which is why I said I'm not even going into Africa, because everybody would probably tell you, oh, we have a higher median household income than most African countries. We do. We have one that's better than Nigeria, even though their top people seem to be performing here. How do you explain it? You have to hold for these certain variables. In contrast, if they're in a developing nation, they tend to start well below those of the United States natives with comparable education levels and experience. What does that mean? If you're in a developing country like Mexico, South America, any of those bad boys, then when you get here, your wages will be lower than ours. But when they're lower, you're going to climb faster. I'll say it again, because you started off low. Let's say that you are only working 100 hours out of your whole month. And as you start to develop more job opportunities, more contracts, you find that stable position. If you get a government job, highway worker, construction worker, maintenance worker, any of those low skilled, low developed country jobs, your household income starts to grow faster than if you came from somewhere where you were already educated and already. If you came from somewhere that's just like us, you don't get the privilege of being, oh, they're from a poor country. You see a Nigerian, you think African, and in most of the Black America, white America, Mexican America, everybody shits on Africa. So when you see a Nigerian, oh, they're from Africa. That's not said with something of praise. They're not thinking of kings and queens. That's something that they laugh at. Even Pan-Africanism struggles because when you hear Africa, you hear contempt in people's voice. Not to mention our median household income is better than most of their countries. It's just facts. And so for me to lay out a premise that is looking at the two major groups, India is the one that I used, as well as Spain, because that is Western European. And it is the origin or Latin of all of those other ones. So let's start with the root and we'll knock out everything else. All right. So hopefully that establishes that. There's a lot more information that's chocked full here. I said that they wouldn't have this access had it not been for us. So I just want to at least touch on that. And then I'm going to bring in my brother, Time Bandit. So immigration policy in the United States was the source country composition of the U.S. immigration. It has changed radically over time. Ending a period of high immigration, the Emergency Quota Act of 1921 and the Immigration Act of 1924 created a system that allocated visas according to the national origin composition of the late 19th and early 20th century U.S. population, favoring immigration from Western European countries, right? So if our argument, you think I'm talking about white supremacy too much, I'm going to have an argument that's against Western European countries or the immigration of more of them. It's consistency, people. My data has to resound at the highest levels as well as just on a YouTube debate, right? So Western European countries, that's where they were getting all the quotas and all of their people were able to come in. They were able to get jobs that we were disqualified for. The 20s is a period of unionization. That war shit that was going on. Remember that? And then the stock market crash. Remember that? Well, also what happened was the Great Migration from the South. I told him 1919 was when African Americans started fighting back and we had the biggest round of race riots that they had seen. And that jump started the civil rights. What else happened? Child welfare, labor laws started changing. So we're moving from the agrarian South en masse by the millions, which is taking them off, our children off of the plantation and moving them into these bigger cities where what's important now? Education. But he probably can't see those correlations and the underfunding of the public education system. So Western European countries greatly reducing and eliminating immigration from where? Asia. That was that Chinese labor that they were dependent on. But they were getting those jobs to build the Pacific Railroad and the Transcontinental Railroad. Those were jobs that should have been allocated to us as they moved from the east to the west. And you'll also see it in the water wars and different things like that. Now, this information is pertinent. And so I just had to bring it out, 19th century, but you'll see it there. I wish it would be able to zoom up just a little bit more. There we go. We got a little bit. But the biggest one is right here. Various changes chipped away at the national origin system. And in 1965, an Immigration and Nationality Act made family reunification, as opposed to national origin, the primary determinant of entry. So there it is. I'm 1 minute late, but I'm gonna bring up my brother Time Branded. What up, brother?
What up, brother? Brother
Hey,
Moses,
man. Little post-debate analysis, man.
You know, man, I just gotta come up and salute you for a very fire presentation.
That's what's up. Salute to that. This dude got mad, or he didn't get mad, but he said me using PowerPoints, and that was, he said, appearance over substance. No, that's preparation. It's something that we should be doing.
Man,
and you see how he even tries to discredit that? Man, come on, bro.
Genius. Works cited. What can you say?
Works cited.
What can you say when the works are cited?
Because you're not arguing against me at that point. Now you're talking about the information. He doesn't show his sources. It was from an article. Well, who wrote the article then? Did they even graduate from college? We don't know nothing about any of those sources. But when I showed my sources, the World Bank, World Data, Census Bureau, all of those charts and graphs, everything else, and then just synthesize it with a bubble, he was on, oh, well, he put little red bubbles and shit on there. Come on, bro. Red bubbles? Is that what your real contention is? Is that I used a professional PowerPoint? Nah, we're supposed to. Anyway, what else you got, my brother?
Man, like I had put in the chat earlier, like he was done at like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And when you got to your 7 minutes, you still had more information. Like you could see who was really more prepared for the debate. Then he went and switched what he was supposed to be defending.
Absolutely. He tried to say no shade at the prophet of thought. No, it's in the title. Even when you saw it in the title and you read it, you made a conscious decision that you weren't going to argue that. And you admitted to everybody, the 300 people that were watching live or 200 live, and now 1,800 views since I last checked. All of those people see that you admitted that you couldn't win that debate. You did not have the research, or you didn't do the time to actually prove your argument that we weren't even competing. And so that was his issue. But anyway, hey, that's huge, though. Thanks for the love, man. Thanks for showing up. B1 Network showed up in mass. Man, those numbers were about even. You saw Taz in there arguing. He wasn't even arguing. He just posted something. Next thing you know, that same person that says they don't like B1, they have all the conversation for B1. Why is that? How is it that he could debate Brother Moses, and rather than just have the debate openly, he says, oh, y'all B1 folks, y'all believe in. Y'all B1 folks, y'all believe in. Come on, bro. Stop telling me what B1 believes in. You don't even claim to be B1. So how do you explain our philosophy? Fuck out of here with that bullshit, man. And what the hell did that have to do with the debate?
You clearly won the debate, bro.
Nothing at all.
You clearly won the debate. He cooked himself on several occasions, but I found it quite ironic that he sat here and said black people trying to get reparations is another form of an excuse to sit here and try to blame white people. Then went on to try to use the example of the Indians and the Jews, two groups who have received what? Say it with me. Reparations. I didn't like, I don't understand. Like, I need people to put their bias aside. I don't care if people don't like our ideology, what we stand for, but you got to be for facts and evidence. You can't use two groups to try to make your point when those two groups have quite literally advocated for the shit we're trying to get for our group. They've used the actions of the government. They've used the discrimination from the government, the systematic discrimination from the government in the case of the Indians and the Japanese. But the Jews have used the discrimination to the point to where the damn United States actually gave them land and protects it at all costs. So not only did they get reparations, fuck reparations, we've given them everything, bruh. They need to stop.
We got African Americans who've given them their whole soul, nigga. They've given their whole soul. If you don't believe in the Jewish persecution, you're going to hell, bro. I'm laughing, but I think it's kind of humorous. Fuck y'all then if y'all don't think it's funny.
Yo, like I was sitting in the chat and I was like, did he really just try to use two groups that actually receive money from the government to try to win this debate? And then to sit here and talk about, oh, I couldn't sit here and go by the premise of the title of the debate when the manosphere's talking point is we aren't competing.
You know
That's
what's
their
great?
talking point.
That is their number one, but it didn't work.
his whole viewpoint on the debate wasn't to come in and prove his point. It was just to come in and try to shoot down everything you were saying. And that's
exactly, which makes it argumentation.
Because it's like once you got 7 minutes to say shit and you ain't got nothing to say, all you waiting for is to try to shoot down what somebody else saying, you're gonna be be short of the time limit.
That's why he kept repeating himself. It got redundant, like I said, and he couldn't follow it flow-wise. He hadn't actually developed his arguments into a position. And so I was just like, okay, he's talking about natural selection again. I'm gonna disregard that. That's not even relevant to the debate. Let me go on with my next point then. African-American inventors and the black scientists and the black folks who've made it into the C-suites. And I just keep dropping it. If you don't want to talk about none of that, then miss me there.
This is what I didn't get, Brother Moses.
Yes,
it was driving me crazy, bro. First things first, this is what I've noticed about manosphere dudes, bro. They have absolutely no core principles besides fuck these women and these children. They have no core principles besides that. But then on top of that, they literally will contradict themselves within a discussion.
Within a sentence. Them was commas he was using. The topic of the debate is, are we competing? Comma. I'm of the mind. It could have been a period, maybe. I'm of the thought that no. Well, we are competing, but not nearly to the extent. Which one is it?
Right.
You've already killed your debate. You said the topic is, you're of the position that no, we're not competing. And then you equivocate and say, well, yeah, we're competing. It's my job to prove, yeah, we're competing. And at the end of the debate, if I've convinced at least one person that we're competing, then we're competing. But I gave him a little bit extra. And I couldn't even begin to call out all the things that he kept saying. Like, what was one of them? What did he say? The one that killed me was, let me find it.
No, his biggest defense was parts of a whole. You're talking about a parts of a whole.
Oh my God!
Like,
see, because that's another. He was talking about us making, you making a argument based in fallacy. When they literally tried to, they love to talk about
he wasn't stating his.
They love to talk about the immigrants that come here and are able to advance themselves, but don't want to talk about how those groups have effectively advocated for themselves to the point to where they have an easier time when it comes to access to capital. They have an easier time when it comes to access to education. Immigrants have something. Illegal immigrants in this country have an easier time than the natural born African American in this country because they have actively and effectively advocated for their group. And because we're doing that, somehow, some way, we're looking for a handout. I don't understand that. Advocating for our group, sitting here saying, fuck giving them these targeted tax cuts. Fuck giving them these easy access to business loans and shit that we don't have access to. Fuck all that. Fuck giving them all that. Give that shit to us. We built this bitch, but we looking for handouts? They literally get handouts here. Come on here.
That's right.
So I don't understand their argument. Advocating for the advancement of our community should not be a point of contention.
Bishop George Macon, my big brother, how's it going, man? Go on and come off mute, George. He must be doing something.
Yeah. I'll be back. I'll be with y'all in a minute. Give me a sec.
All right, appreciate that. Let me take about 5. Oh, we got the incomparable Taz, man. Hey, this is what I was telling myself on the way home when Brother Rob was like, Brother Moses, you humble, but you got to do a post-debate analysis. I wasn't even going to do the shit. I was like, man, that shit is over. If he don't know he's crushed, then there's no really convincing him. But I was like, maybe I'm too relaxed. I'm too passive. If B1 Network is going to have debates, it's like Taz is aggressive, Moses is too passive. Either Moses has to start saying motherfucker, or Taz got to stop calling him bitch. But something gonna have to happen. I was crying when I told myself that. I was crying. I'm like, they don't want Taz. Taz is aggressive, so he's intimidating them. Moses is so nice, but he's using all of these big words and shit, and he's just gonna give you the facts. They need somebody in the middle. I said, it's gonna be a twin man turn next time. I'm done with these motherfuckers.
Bruh, I don't even like it. It depends on the topic, and it depends on the person. He sat here and said, I didn't, you sat here and made concessions. I conceded one, I didn't concede 1 point. Anybody who ever talked to Fantastic knows he'll be 100% wrong and will never say I'm wrong. What's the debate with somebody who will never admit when they are 100% wrong?
Or when they don't know, just say, I don't know. I said that a couple of times. I didn't research that. I don't got the data for that. You want the number of African-American GED? I wouldn't even know how to Google that shit.
Right. What did that have to? He acting like African-Americans is the only ones that get GEDs in this bitch.
And it was a sidebar. It was a rebuttal to his comment about us having a 4th grade literacy. I'm like, how do you have 86% graduation rates with a 4th grade literacy? Something must be broken with the system then. Because they still getting jobs.
So he didn't even understand how he was this is how I could tell he didn't have no idea what the fuck he was talking about. Because our whole contention here in the one of our contentions in the B1 network is this system has systematically oppressed Black people from the time we stepped off the boat to now, through education, through all kinds of other shit. So if you're sitting here saying that the average Black person only has a 4th grade reading level, are you not bolstering our argument that that's a systematic problem when it comes to funding for public schools in Black areas compared to other areas? I mean, they don't even understand how they help our argument with their talking points.
Which is why we need those. I still say we need those debates, because they try to use those same talking points that they hear from the Black conservatives and all of those. They just can't regurgitate the information the same as their YouTube daddies. I even asked them, do they even know who Larry Elder was? I know that a lot of those folks who talk about Larry Elder absolutely don't know anything about Larry Elder's economics. They don't, because I used the Larry Elder argument in this debate, thinking that it would draw us closer to understanding that Black folks are competing. But unfortunately, they don't actually know Larry Elder like they say they know him. Motherfuckers, man. You just can't win. Brother Taz, is you back on, or what happened? Damn, salute to the GOAT. Sounds like some technical difficulties there. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to take 5 minutes real quick, gentlemen, run into this next section of information, and then we'll come back into the live commentary. So let me see. All right. So what we have here is where it starts to change. After 1965, we know that the civil rights opened up doors, but that they co-opted it and turned it into minority groups. So, and Nationality Act made family reunification, as opposed to national origin, the primary determinant of entry. So it used to be, we want 80,000 people, or we'll allow 80,000 people from Western Europe and 5,000 people from everywhere else. And then they stopped with the quotas from Western Europe, you know, the wars that died down, all those other things. And then they moved into family reunification. Why is that important? Because you had the first generation that were able to come under this one. Look, 65 is when my mama was born. All right. This is my dad's generation and the peoples that they had to compete with social, politically, and economically. This mass influx of 85,000 people or more every year that were not born here, and that's who they had to compete with when we were fighting for our civil rights and our rights to jobs and shit, right? And so count those up, aggregate every year as they're bringing in these other people, and that is the population of America today. To a much lesser extent, the new system also made room for persons to enter via employer requests for needed occupational skills. Hold that one, because that's when I said the system is moved towards the talented 10th. Now that the private industry is now a part of this immigration system, or the H-1B, HB1, H-1B, whatever it is, visa system, now the 80,000 people, which is why it moved to India. But this guy doesn't understand that those Indians are still considered Asians. And so it's hard to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't know that Indians from that side of the world are considered Asians. And whenever he's saying Indian, he's talking about the motherfucker is here Native Americans who received reparations and land and shit and now have casinos. But then when you look at India, and I show him the actual number, look, today, the immigration that's coming and pulling the talented 10th, more than 70% of that is going to the Indians, that Asian group that you want to keep referring to, which is why I have, and where we're beating their ass in median income. Only problem is their populations are millions and billions. They're fucking us up. Japan is too small, China's too big, all the rest of them, the Korea and the other ones, they're not equivalent. So it wouldn't be fair for me to use those Asians because the population there, the number is, let's use 100,000. If you only have 10 people who are able to come in and they generated that 100,000 and you're using median income, then you're just going to spread those out and see out of the total of 100,000 and you add them up, how many combinations of numbers can you use to get to 100,000? And then which one is the middle? And those number combinations are median household incomes. But if that number 10, because of immigration laws, has now been expanded to 100, but your people are still only generating that same 100,000, now your median income is going to start shrinking, right? What essentially happens is when you bring in those talented 10th folks, they are the ones who come in and drive your major 100,000. They are the ones who make the most. And so everybody else is making pennies. Pennies. If your numbers are 100, those people making pennies is going to be significantly less than if your numbers are only 10. You got 10 people, it's a very small number, smaller denominator. So that one person making $1 million is carrying the weight of the other 9. If you have 100 people, that one person holding $1 million, now he's not carrying as much weight because the rest of these underlings who came in as just family members, or they just wanted to reunite with loved ones, and now they're maids, or they're fucking janitors, or they're working at our fucking stores and bagging groceries, or they're cleaning up our neighborhoods and shit as maintenance workers. That's not what we're talking about. That's where people would say, oh, those are the jobs that niggas didn't want in the first place. Of course. Because niggas have the intellect and the skill set to move up into corporate America, government jobs, like he wanted to point out that we 58% share of the government jobs African Americans work in. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. We're moving into different spaces now. Entrepreneurship is huge for us now. We have our own businesses and our own employees to manage. Sometimes that employee is your wife. Sometimes your kids might be on that payroll, but we're moving in a different space. And because of that, it's probably not going to be our thing. So I did want to share that 1965, this was our civil rights era and how it was co-opted to include minorities. And what do you feel about migrants? When you ask me, it's always the same consistent message. Look, the jobs that they coming over here to get, man, they're going to have to keep fighting for them just like we got to keep fighting for our jobs. I can't be either for them or against them because I'm one of those people who says that shit has very little to do with me. Now, when it comes to my neighborhood, I'll be like, bro, I'll give you $40. They'd be like, I need 100. He'd be like, I'll give you 50. You know, I'd be like, let's just do the 50. That's where I be at. I'm sorry.
So Brother Moses,
negotiating with these motherfuckers like, look, I'll give you $50. And they'll clean up the whole front, backyard, pool, everything. And that's about as far as my immigration debate goes. Services that I'm able to employ. Go ahead, Twin.
So, Brother Moses, this is what I don't get. His position was that, and he was supposed to be sitting here on the position that we're not competing. How is he helping your argument by pointing out that we get government jobs? That means we're competing. That means we're getting into jobs that can actually have great benefits. Because if you're working in the DOD, you have really, really good benefits, and you're making decent money. So that means we're competing.
Mm-hmm.
So how does he not understand? He's helping your argument.
It's the inverse, Twin. If he would have done more preparation, like when I kept saying, look, socially and economically, we are competing, even though we're not winning. See, I'm taking that onto both positions. The one that says we're underperforming in some areas, but that's not, that doesn't dispute the fact that we're still fighting in those areas. And that's what he had to do. His challenge as a debater is to say we are not competing and to stick with we are not competing. but he wasn't able to do so. So he kept having to slide into, well, that's a form of competition. That's a form of competition. Well, they're competing there. And then by me dismissing his natural selection argument outright, like if that's what you want to argue about, personal choice and women, what they do with their bodies and all of that, then you should have debated like a Cynthia G. You debate a woman. I'm not going to argue a feminist perspective, which is her body, her right type of thing, with some dude who wants to say, well, black women shouldn't and what black women should. No, talk to the women about what black women should and shouldn't. And in fact, I say, let the women have that argument. So I dismissed that one right off tops. Like the same way he said, well, black men, that I know people would like to say it takes two to tango, but black women have the power to determine when they have a baby and by who, and they can even have the power to determine if they abort, even if they're married, they can abort their husband's baby and all of that shit. So you're arguing against women's rights in our black people competing debate. Get the fuck out of here. If that's what his group want to give to him, he got that hands down. He won that. Go ahead, salute. And I'm gonna keep it moving and talk about this economics, because I think competition is more or less, we're in a capitalist society. Are you generating product, services that people want? And then the next part of the argument was, or is the system holding us back? I didn't say that they are completely holding us back. Hell no, we're fighting against what they're trying to do because they are also a competing civilization. That's them white folks. I expect them not to like my black ass. I expect them to think of me as the same way I think of them. They're Neanderthal. To me, many things form around this one central theme. They ain't shit to me. Why? Because my wife is. Why? Because my kids are. Why? Because I got family to worry about. I got loved ones and kin to focus on. Anyway, that's that. Hey, Taz, is your mic working yet, brother? God damn, man. I don't know what you got, the little Getro wireless or something, bro. What's going on, man? We gonna pray for 2020. We're gonna get Taz off the Obama phone plan because Obama didn't do shit for us, and that Obama phone is fucking him up today.
Yo, Yizzo. Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. That time.
This George.
Oh, there you go. What up, George Macon?
Yeah. I'm in here doing some homework, man. I want to get in here and show these Supreme Court judges that help that supported the United States and help Israel get their state, get their country in 1948. Listening to that debate. Listening to that debate yesterday, I'm convinced that's why I don't like talking to them Negroes, because they just not intelligent, man. And it's a waste of time. Like they don't know shit.
That's right.
They really don't.
Clearly, like literally don't know.
He didn't want to use any Supreme Court cases. He didn't want to use like, what was the actual information that he provided and where did it come from? Department of Education seems to. What did you say about nothing? What information should we take away with? At the end of it, I at least had a solution, bro.
But see, you can't have the type of debate. You can't have the type of debate that you guys had without bringing out facts as to how things got the way it is. You have to first address that and then look at where you're going forward based off the information from yesterday to present. There's no future without past and present. So you got to address those things first.
That's right.
And what I'm doing right now, I'll be calling you. I'm putting together a thing where I'm showing how the United States government, between 1917 and 1948, they basically rushed and put together the country for Israel. But we still trying to get our shit. Like they made it happen. And you can go through the timeline of years on what they did and then how they continue support to Israel after 1948 and military protection. We never got none of that shit. And the reason why this is important,
here you go.
The reason why this is important to the debate, because the discussion, we can't have these discussions if we don't address what actually happened and why we're having to have the discussion in the first place. That's the important part. Yeah, I rest on it. Let me finish doing my work.
Give me like 30 seconds, bro. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. We got you.
If you notice during the debate, every time, because George, you're right. You can't have a conversation unless you know the information, unless you're willing to put forth the information. If you don't know basically the history, you really can't have these discussions. Because if you notice, every time Brother Moses during the debate brought out flat out facts. Flat out evidence. They use their favorite word. That's just an excuse. How is documented history an excuse? How?
And it also seems like every time I say something that's over their heads, they have a comprehension problem. And in order to, that's an equivocation, or that's a straw man argument, or a red herring. What? How is it a red herring? This is the data that I researched in order to bring to this debate.
I forgot what he called the red herring. But I just started laughing in the chat. But I know it was something like that was just really, really obvious. And I was like, that's a red herring.
It's immigration, which is why I was on immigration today.
He brought up the 3/4. I think he said that was like a red herring or something.
Yeah, he said it was a red herring, which is why I got the information now. I asked him a specific question in the lightning round back and forth. I said, brother, how do you really feel about immigration? And he didn't really want to answer it. Oh, that's just an excuse that the B1s like yourself use to say that the other people. No, tell me how you feel. Don't try to tell me what you think about the B1 philosophy. What do you feel about immigration? Are you for it? Do you think that it's pushing the economy forward? Do you think that it's a good thing that people who are not native born citizens can come in here and fuck America up? Look, let me give you this one. Economically, they're not, I don't know if they're actually destroying us in any other areas. Like, they bring in disease. Somebody could find that information. Let me give you one more real quick, and then we'll move straight forward into it. So this is a big ass chart. It's from the Atlas. And I'll tell you what we see here. So the median household income, native born versus foreign born. And what you'll see here is going up, same numbers that they were talking about. It's almost around $60,000. The dark blue are non-citizens. The pinkish color is the native born, and then the lighter blue are foreign born citizens. So they weren't born here. This is what I keep saying. First generation, second generation, what are you? They were born abroad, but now they are citizens. That's going to be important. The native born, which means that they're here. This is the first generation. That would be second to me. And then those who are non-citizens, right? And so native born, that's us. I'm born here. Well, actually, I was born in Germany, but it was on a military base. And now that I'm here, it was American soil where I was born. Anyway, native born, that's us. Look at where our numbers are. And then the non-citizens, of course, you would expect to see those be a little bit less. But those foreign-born citizens, this other light blue, since 2011, 2012, 13, 14, and 15, their number is beating all Americans. Not just Black folks, but it's beating all Americans. Anyway, what are the ramifications of it? No, America is actually losing to those foreign-borns. What explains it? Well, if I give you what the research actually says, it just depends on their country of origin and why they were brought in. We moved away from bringing in people in mass and moved into bringing in their family members. And then we moved into, now that we got them and their family members, let's bring people in for work. So that's 3 topics that have to be skipped in order to get to. So what do you think about their talented 10th coming in through the HB1 visas? But that only assumes that he understands those changes that have happened in time. He obviously didn't. It was too much for him during the debate. And therefore, that was a red herring argument. Motherfucker, you just don't know shit if you don't know shit. Anyway. Who else we got? I'm gonna stop right there.
Again, dudes like him know it's hard to have a conversation with someone who's unwilling to really try to learn anything, bruh, because they're set in their ways. They think literally anything you present is an excuse. Because again, that was very easy to follow. And then if you get into a more nuanced conversation based off of what you just built, we can talk about again on the local, state, and federal level, the programs put in place for a lot of these native born and immigrants who have come here.
That's right.
Again, if you're getting a leg up when you get here, why wouldn't you be getting, if you have easier access to capital and I'm still getting discriminated against when it comes to getting access to this capital, why wouldn't you be ahead of me in some areas? Not all, but some.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm making it easier for you, I don't know, DACA recipient to get a free college education in fucking California, whereas my children I would have to pay for, How are you not going to be ahead? Like, I don't understand these dudes' arguments. It's not that we're sitting here, they say, oh, you're playing the victim. No, we're actually telling you what's going on in these fucking states. We're actually telling you how these motherfuckers are ahead of us because they are propped up on policy.
He doesn't think of it from the 40,000 foot view. And so when we say policy, it's going right over his head. He doesn't know what that is, I guess. Competing on policy, which is the DACA. Like, I'll give you an example real quick, and I'm gonna let you get right back into it. When it was that whole immigrant refugee train of 10,000 people, that has nothing on what these H-1B visa program is doing. The H-1B visas are 85,000, and most of it goes to corporations, right? So that's a higher household income. But they were talking about the train. What did they say? That caravan train was an invasion coming to America. What did they say? They said, oh, at the borders, they're separating families. That was their number one topic, right? So he's thinking that we're having this conversation about Mexican refugees, and I'm trying to tell him why you're looked at as non-competitive. That job that they gave to that Arab or that Indian or even that other Asian, if you don't want to consider the Indian, it didn't go to that Western Europeaner now. It went to somebody other than a black person. And they are still considered a minority now. So they're hitting their minority quotas. They're choosing selectively other races from other countries over your black ass because of talking points like the ones you use. Anyway, let's keep going. Twin man, we could probably build for a minute. Where bro Rob go?
Can y'all hear me, man?
We hear you now. What's up?
Yeah, man. This motherfucking this StreamYard be bullshit, man, when it connects to the Bluetooth, man. My bad, man. I couldn't hear y'all on the phone and shit. Shit was ugly for a minute, man. What's good, bro?
Man, what's good with it, man?
Oh, man, bro. That shit yesterday. All right, man. So, listen, man. I was like, wait, triggered, man, because I'm gonna be honest, man. Like that, bro, they just sitting there talking to the crowd, bro. Like, this shit ain't for real, my nigga. Like, we ain't getting to know
Damn, they fucked him up. Goddamn StreamYard.
Damn.
But yeah, man, like I don't get it, bro. Like I guess because we're so used to actual content, it's easy. It was very easy to follow your basically your presentation. I can't even call that a debate.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you now, Taz. Yeah. Go ahead.
My bad, man. It connected to the Bluetooth again. Wow. All right, so I'm parked now, man. So check it out, man. This is my thing. So in these debates, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like you say, body itself coming through the door. You know what I'm saying? I like the intro, man. I was perfect intro and a perfect rendition of what happened. You know what I'm saying? You come in, you body yourself, but then you keep bodying yourself throughout the debate. So, you know, like I went back a couple times, bro, just to look and make sure that I wasn't tripping. Dog, you can't say we're underperforming. Once you say we're performing at any level, that means we're competing. That means you lose. And
absolutely.
So for me, it's okay. So now we just sitting here talking to the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Let's try to get the crowd hyped by saying shit that people agree with already that you say every other day. And you push this anti-black narrative where we ain't trying hard enough. We're failures. We at the bottom. It's the same shit all the time.
And blame the parents.
Right, you know, blame the parents, which
and throw a shot at Taz while I'm at it.
It's the same, but it's the same argument Ramil was making. We ain't doing enough. We underperforming. The parents ain't getting the kids together. You can spend more time teaching your kids. You know what I'm saying? If we just get in STEM, if we just do this, if we just do that, this group is above us. This group past us. It's the same goddamn arguments. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, nobody's coming to these debates to truly lay out no facts, man, and it's getting annoying to even watch because it's like you got a bunch of people sitting down there just okay, facts, and it's like, well, dog, what did he say that was factual? In a debate, you got to show a fact. You don't just get to say it and say it's fact. You got to show whatever you're saying. And so to not be prepared, not have nothing to show on the screen, like I said, it's Googling on the fly to answer a question. Some of that shit ain't supposed to happen in no debate and it still be called, you know, close or even or saying that person won even worse. And so, like like I said yesterday in the chat, man, you got to get some type of judgment system. And you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe you got to over moderate that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because you like at there comes a point where you are bodying yourself in the debate, and you just get to keep going. You're introducing irrelevant questions. What's the percentage of GED achievers in comparison to the high school dropout rate? My nigga, what are you asking and why?
I said, what?
Like, come on,
and then
man.
he wanted to compare them to people with advanced degrees. You're still proving my point about the H-1B visa point. They're pulling from people who they can work. I'm gonna show it a little bit later. Go ahead. My bad. I ain't meaning to cut you with.
See, when you were saying that, you know, I ain't hip to the number, so I looked it up, and sure enough, it said the article I found said the last 2 years, 74% of the H-1B1 visas have gone to Indians. They're people from India. So,
and I pulled that. Guess why? Because on Y'all Talk, he didn't know the difference between an Indian, or he didn't know that the Indians were considered Asians. And while you're propping up Asians, how do you break all of that shit out? Who's actually winning? No, they're getting propped up as a group because they're able to selectively pull for these companies that I'm gonna show in a little minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's all I got for now, man. I just wanted to get that out because, like I say, man, it was interesting, man, to watch. You know, the chat box, man. They're not really looking for facts, man. These are confirmation bias debates, and we'd almost be better debating each other. You know what I'm saying? We'd be better off debating each other if we're gonna do it for you know, information and the teach. We'd be better off debating each other.
That's right.
It just kills me how he sat here and literally made your point, was literally making your points for you. And then especially when it got into the question and answer portion, and he literally used two groups when the reparation reparation question was asked, used two groups that got reparations, bro.
Yeah, I remember that. That was asinine.
I couldn't.
He should have compared.
I was dumbfounded when that happened. Can y'all hear me?
That's the case.
We hear you, bro, Rob.
Hey, check this out, right? Man, look, I got triggered toward the end when the mob said, "Didn't George Washington Carver marry a white woman?" I'm like, man, that's so disrespectful. You clearly you don't study history. For people who don't know, right? George Washington Carver was adopted by a white family. They had a daughter. They castrated George Washington Carver. And so he never married. Do you see how disrespectful that shit was? Then they said, I muted my laptop. Like, I can't believe this motherfucker just, and then when I look in the chat, right? It's biracial. Hey, dude, I got so mad at that point, bro.
Wasn't.
I'm like, bruh, Frederick Douglass, if that's true, right? That means his mother was raped by the oppressor. Don't you see that? Talking about
No, they don't see that. They don't see that, brother Rob. Because at the end of the day, we already know what it all comes down to.
Man, that shit, man, bro. I was over here fucking. Man, bro.
I laugh not to get mad, bro. I laugh not to get mad because when they say dumb shit like that, you have to laugh. You have to. What's the point in getting mad?
My coworker was telling me I should have been going way harder on him.
It comes down to this, bro. It comes down to very, very basic level shit for them. They can't stand black people, and they can't, especially black women. Those 2 points.
Well, see, that's the thing, man. Like I say about the people who watching. Like, if you just come back to blame the woman, blame the mothers, the black community is behind. If you just come back to that argument, that crowd is going to cheer that rhetoric on. You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost pointless for them to watch us debate people who are just simply able to run back to that point where we ain't trying hard enough. We ain't doing well. Fuck slavery. That shit didn't matter. That shit don't matter no more. We don't live in them times no more. You wasn't a slave. You know, if we talking to people that's saying that type shit and the audience is applauding it, Are we truly helping anybody?
Absolutely
You know what I'm saying?
not.
We be now check it out. So, and this is why I'm saying this. Now check me out. Remember when we was having the other debates when for example, I did the Pan-African deception. You know what I'm saying? Like some might have looked at that like, oh man, he going in on Garvey. But the panel was open for psychopatheists to come right up as a Pan-African. We chopped it up, and anybody who knows it knows I'm not anti-Garvey as a man. I'm anti some of the actions. So we debating the actions in terms of pushing the black race forward to never fall into the belief system again that something is going to happen that may not. Our debates are centered around everybody growing as black first. When you take that debate was about black people looking down on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not looking down on your people, something's wrong with you. You look, and when you do look down, you literally are looking down from an elevated position where you telling people I'm better than you. Nah, dog. That shit don't help us none, man. You know what I'm saying? And this is after doing that shit with Ramil, now watching yours, and then thinking back to the debates we had. The reason I said I didn't want to do them no more because people was taking it wrong. They was taking it like one of us is against a black first, or even like the Sunday Rumble where, oh, well, he's against ADOS. No, dog, we trying to get understanding around these topics because all of these have a black first agenda within them. So you might hear us going in about ADOS or FBA or B1 or any of it, but our position is solid and the foundation is all the same. We going in spaces where people foundation is fuck these niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't know if that shit has helped. You know what I mean? Like, cause for real, bro, like I'm be honest, you was too nice. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Like these niggas don't
even my
respect
coworker
us,
told me that shit. My coworker was like, the minute he said that shit.
Yeah, they don't.
He said the minute he said that shit, I was supposed to cut his ass off and just bro, you way out of pocket. And I know this is a debate and we supposed to be professional, but you can't keep slandering the black folks like that, man. You're wrong. You're just trying to win a debate with these talking points, and you're obviously dismissing all of our legacy and history. He said I should have been going way harder, and that's a coworker, nigga.
You was cooking, bro. You was cooking.
I'm gonna be real. I disagree with Taz on that. You didn't have to do. Again, you didn't have to go at him hard. Again, cooking, if you're looking at the debate and you're actually being objective, he brought forth no fucking data, nothing.
I know, but what I'm saying is once you get to say all that bullshit without a nigga cutting you off, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like it's almost like niggas. This is what niggas want to hear anyway. So again, that bias is confirmed. I'd rather be looked at as rude. Fuck it, say I lost because I was cutting that bullshit off. But y'all niggas say this shit uncontested every day. Quantify that shit, nigga. No, you ain't about to skip over what I just said. Come back, quantify that shit, nigga. Show me what you talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because they will not accept that argument that these Indians are propping up the entire Asian race in numbers. They will not accept that. And so I need you to quantify when y'all keep saying Asians, what Asians are you talking about? And they just can't pin them down to this
talk
shit.
Long enough. When they talk long enough, they bound to say something stupid as fuck. Like Fantastic, he a nigga that's gonna run his mouth and he just gonna say some stupid shit if you let him. Like, go ahead, bro.
No, he I'll give you that. But this is the thing. This is what they all do. They contradict themselves within the discussion. Because if I can take you back, like Taz has premiered a lot of the panels that we've been on, and Fantastic has been on. I challenge anybody to go and listen to him. Listen to him. And listen to how Fantastic will quite literally make a point. When you disprove it, he'll shift the goalpost a little bit to the left or the right. When you debunk that, he'll shift it again. So that way he can sit here and say what he said in that debate. I didn't concede 1 point. You notice that's what he said, right? I didn't concede 1 point. You didn't make a point. What you did was you made statements, and when you was getting pinned down on that statement, you shifted your statement.
Right. That's another thing, that the lack of concession for me sometimes says that you're not serious too, because sometimes you're just wrong. And so, you know, it's easy to jump up there and say, yeah, I never conceded. I won, blah, blah, blah. But if we come away from that and I can't point to anything that you said, and even worse, people who say you won can't point to anything that you said that was profound. Something is wrong with
nothing.
That. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I just look over these debates and I'm looking for the parts of it that we can take from it and say, damn, he made a good ass point. And it when they do it, usually doesn't qualify. It's usually something that's always said, like, but we at the bottom. Okay, but that's not a good point anymore. We're in a debate about that now. So now you got to quantify that statement. You can't just make a blanket statement and it flies. Anything you say, you have to be able to quantify it. And when you ain't sharing your screen, you ain't showing nothing, you ain't ready to push back on none of the data that's presented to you without a bullshit argument. Because I mean,
he was coming short. He was coming short the time limits.
Do y'all remember that part where he tried to push back on Brother Moses' number, and he literally said some shit like, "I was waiting for you to do that. I was setting a trap."
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to push back on his information. This, like, you know, like if you're trying to debunk it, you push back on the information as it was given, not create your own argument to, you know, push back on. It's weird how they do that shit, man. They'll create their own argument and then build on the argument they just created. It's like, dude, that wasn't the argument though.
And that's the one I keep getting lost on. I be like, what the fuck, nigga? Not only did I not say that, now you expect me to have a conversation about some shit that not only I didn't say, you made up that scarecrow. I don't give a fuck about that scarecrow. I am here to tell you that black folks are competing. What the fuck are you talking about?
Have you noticed when you talk to these motherfuckers, bro?
I'm gonna give you a yes or no question to control the answer, though. I'm gonna just keep saying yes or no this, yes or no that. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here.
Do you realize when you talk to them, they'll quite literally make up a completely and utterly ridiculous scenario out of the clear blue sky to try to bolster their argument? I've never noticed that. They will make a complete and total scenario up out of clear blue sky, out of whole cloth, and then when you sit here and it'll be based off of something you said. So they'll make up a scenario and say, "See, that's why I'm winning the debate," or "That's why I got this point." Because
where does fourth grade literacy rates come into play in the debate about adults competing?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Like,
somebody's looking at the kids.
Because
nothing to do with it.
And this is what I didn't understand. Because Brother Moses, in his presentation, I'm not going to even say in the debate. This was a presentation, and he had a heckler on the panel with him. During his presentation, he actually said that the systematic issues in education is a problem. So you pointing out the fourth grade reading level, bro, bolsters Brother Moses' debate.
Oops. Your issues with Common Core is a federally and state mandated thing. That means you're talking about
can't read. Real quick, if you saying motherfuckers can't read, and Brother Moses just sat here and said it's not just interpersonal racism we need to worry about, it's systemic. It's within the educational system, it's within housing, finance, all that. One of those points is educational, right? So if motherfuckers can't read, that bolsters your point.
That's right.
Do motherfuckers actually know how a debate works?
And all you say is that point is seated. You pull it forward. He tried to say I seated some points. The points that I were making. Look, you're not even positioning yourself. When I say social, political, and economic, by the end of the debate, you ought to be able to tell me how we're socially failing, how we're politically failing, and how we're economically failing. If you don't even want to do that, then what are we actually talking about? The only other one was his sexual selection.
If your point is we competing and can improve, that's not conceding.
But look, you did. But no, listen. This is exactly what happened, though. The points you were conceding were points about us underperforming, which if you just look at that right there, that's competing. So yes, you're going to concede points about us performing. Underperforming, I would even give you some of that argument. I agree to a degree. Some of us are underperforming, a lot of us. But in that, you're giving up the competition argument. You're saying we are competing on some level. So of course I'll concede that. That's what the debate is about. Are we competing? You know, it's easy.
That's what I didn't understand, bro. He said, "Oh, I can't sit here," and then at the end to sit here and try to cover your ass to make it seem like, "Oh, that's a fallacy. I can't come in here and say motherfuckers ain't competing." Y'all say that shit every
because you ain't do the research, nigga.
Hey, y'all see how he tried to defend it at the end and say, Moses said he admitted underperforming, so I got that. No, nigga,
No.
underperforming is a form of competing. There are areas where we're not winning. Look, I done got into the ring and had a fist fight. I got socked. I had to take it on the chin. I got blurry-eyed. My ears was ringing, and I still had to keep fighting. Underperforming, look, what underperformance is him. When you don't come prepared to a debate, and you don't have no slides. Imagine this nigga standing in a room of 300 people, the same number of people who are actually watching our debate from our own respective places. He's standing in an auditorium with 300 people there, and he's saying the things that he's saying. We're failing because black women have AIDS. What? They gonna boo the hell out of that nigga. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? Black women keep having abortions and we're failing. They gonna look at that nigga like, nigga, what is you talking about? Imagine this nigga trying to have that conversation on a Senate floor. Did he say anything that they should be compelled by? Take his conversation and put it in any other space and see if anybody gives a fuck about what he feels we're losing at. The education argument is an equivocation. It's one that says the system is responsible for us failing, but he doesn't want to say, well, the system is responsible for us failing. Fuck out of here.
But this is the same dude who downplayed education in the conversation with me and Taz. If you remember, Taz, when I sat here and I said I find something appealing when it comes to making sure my children get a free education on the government's dime. I said, I'm down for that policy. He sat here and told me if too many people, if everybody's able to get a college degree, that degree ain't gonna be worth shit. I sat here and said accurately, everybody ain't gonna go to college, bro. Everybody ain't gonna go to college. But you can do something like you mentioned in the debate, Brother Moses, trade school.
Right.
This is what I don't get, bro. He's the type of person who has downplayed education, downplayed higher education, and now you want to sit here and say, well, motherfuckers ain't getting an education. What? He called it a scam in a conversation with me, and now you're trying to use that in a debate to sit here and say, oh, well, this is we're underperforming when it comes to education. You think it's a scam? See, I hold motherfuckers to the words they say, to the shit they say.
Man,
That's
it
right.
was no even need to bring that up because it was too much facts. They was right there.
Brother Moses, the level of detail that you brought to the debate, easily it was seen by anybody that was actually listening that he was not prepared, which I share with Taz and his frustration. Because I was really hoping that he was gonna push back and that we was gonna hear something. We still we haven't heard anything yet.
Somebody talking, I can't hear him.
Yeah. My fault. Y'all can't hear me?
No, we hear you now.
Oh, okay, good. The other point that he pretty much bodied himself on was when you started giving the percentages of the immigrants. And then he thought all 85% of the immigrants was Nigerian.
Literally, so you're saying 75% of Asians, Indians are coming up? No, India is like billions of people, bro. What are you talking about? The H-1B visa program is only 85,000. I'm talking about the talented 10th coming over. I got on the screen right here the companies that are actually pulling from them. Look at these names. Cognizant Tech Solutions, Infosystems, Tata Consultancy, Accenture, which is another consultancy, YPro, I don't know who the fuck that is. IBM is technology, Microsoft technology, Tech Mahindra Americas, Deloitte Consulting is major consulting even in the technology space, Amazon, Google, Apple, Intel. Now, why aren't those jobs going to African Americans? And if 85,000 jobs or however many visas they're getting are going to African Americans, that's where we're competing for. But he doesn't understand that because he doesn't want to talk about immigration or immigration law or HB1 visas, he doesn't really want to have a conversation on economic competition, especially from a policy lens. Policy is the federal government is allowing these visas for work permits now. It used to be about let's just get folks selectively by national origin, and then it moved to let's get their family. And then it moved towards, well, let's do it for the private sector. Private sector, look at these folks. I'm gonna give you one more right after this slide that's going to show you where that impact comes in on median household income. All right, let's keep going though.
That's why I said that point that you made during the debate about the H-1B1 visas and how they actually are giving it to these people to come in and work in their companies. I don't understand how you couldn't understand that. I really couldn't. Like, are you serious? How
he
could
tried
he
to
not
say you haven't even addressed the lottery system, bro, because it's not about the lottery system.
Lottery
That's just a
system.
distraction.
There's a difference between the lottery system and the H-1B1 visas, bro. He's talking about two different parts in the immigration debate there. But then again, it was maddening because you're talking about how these people are outperforming us when they get here, and you're not talking about, again, like the key word in this is fucking policy. If I'm making it easier for you to get access to anything you need to make you successful, how can I sit here and look down on my people for that if we're not getting the same exact access?
He's arguing against a B1 person. I want to give him this. The Trump administration is looking to crack down on H-1B visa use, which the Trump administration sees as taking jobs from American workers. We have African Americans at Apple, and out of all of those people who want to be project managers or process managers or whatever it is at those companies, those jobs where African American households could benefit are going to these immigrants. So there's a House bill which would make that process for obtaining these visas more difficult. Why does that matter? It's because it's government intervention on behalf of the people of America. It's going against those private-owned companies. And that is in the motto of blacks competing or blacks complaining. Look, we want these jobs. We're educated. And it also goes against that whole thing that black folks aren't educated in STEM and can't code and all that. We do have folks who are black who can code and do all of that shit. Look at the salaries though. 81,000, 93,000, 76,000, 87,000, 81,000, 75,000, 122,000 at Deloitte, which was the example that I actually used in the debate with expatriates. We have black folks who work for Deloitte who are making that type of salary, but doing so abroad. So kind of the one and one. 129,000 for Google, 98 for Ernst & Young, Amazon, 121,000. What does that do to the median household income numbers when it's only 358,000 of you? The rest of the people who may just be getting out of college, maybe still in their residential programs because they're looking to become doctors. This is the number that he wants 46 million to compete up against. This is why I kept saying, look, man, any other argument is going to be disingenuous. You're talking about Nigerians in America, but it's only 380,000 of them. So how many doctors do they actually need to pull that shit off? Damn, T-Painting, that audio so rough. Damn, it's still fucking up. I don't know, man. Maybe I got to go to my other system. I got another mic that's set up that I can use. Nah, but that didn't even work last night either. I don't know. We'll work with StreamYard until we can get a better solution. Is everybody still there or is it gone?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here, bro.
All right.
I was listening. You go in.
No, we here.
I can't hear who at the bottom though.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard then, but this is the actual number of Nigerians that he wanted to have the conversation. Again, my number wasn't even about Nigerians. I had already said, look, we're not even going to talk about Africa because as Taz has already pulled out, nigga, our median income is already bigger than Nigeria. You're talking about the very top of the top that have, they have like a few billionaires. And so for the rest of the society, though, it's very low. It's worse than what Black American society has. It's 46 million of us that he wants to compare against 380,000 people. The numbers will be grossly exaggerated, even if they have, let's say, 10,000 doctors making $100,000. With 10,000 doctors making, or 1,000 doctors, let's bring that all the way down. I could probably look it up too. Nigerians by profession, but I didn't feel like it was a need for me to look it up because my argument wasn't against the Nigerians. But just because he brought that out, there's one thing that I also wanted to show, just so we can keep this thing flowing. Give me about a couple of minutes here. This was the fact check on Africa. Yes, Nigerian Americans do well, but they aren't the most successful ethnic group in the U.S. This is Africa Check sorting fact from fiction. Then what the hell did they do with this whole goddamn screen now?
It's not even that, though. I also like how you just pointed out, you can't compare, like you said, 46, 45 million people to these very, very small groups. if you're gonna do apples to apples, and then you brought up basically because he kept trying to talk about spending power. Basically, as a community, we generate, like you said, on average. Because he got lost in this part of the debate as well. When you talked about how we generate, what is it, $1.2 trillion per year, and basically, if we didn't have the shortcomings that we had through history, it would probably be around $3 trillion.
Yep.
He got lost in that part of the debate.
He didn't even want anything with that because it was USC and the American something politic. I got it on here. But yeah, because it was a substantiated claim. This wasn't Brother Moses speaking. He can't argue against that. All he has to say is, well, your source is either faulty, it's Ta-Nehisi Coates, and he's just some media talking head. He can talk about them, but he can't talk about that number. So the solution then is actually built into my presentation. First of all, it's systemic racism. And then by the end of it, if we eliminated systemic racism, how much more money would we actually have? What would our median household incomes look like? It would be higher. But because they don't follow that logic, they missed the entire debate. It was a good one. But here's where we're at. Here's where we would like to be, and here's what we would need to get there. Systemic racism has to get out of our capitalist system in order for our entire economy to be what it should be. But if he can't see that, then I don't know. Maybe the conversation wasn't worth having with him. There may be some other folks who could probably go in a little bit deeper and say, look, my problem with immigration is, or the reason I support immigration is, and maybe they can do so more thoroughly. Let me see here. I don't know what the hell is happening to this page. I guess they just don't want me to actually read it. So I could try to bring it up here. But anyway, essentially, yeah, see, I don't want to just say it. This is why I have slides. I don't want to say it. I want to actually show it. That's just the way I am. Let me see if I go away from it and come back. Will it come on back in? But essentially, it says that Nigerians, they're good. They're doing their thing, but they're not number one. The number one is still the Indians, which is why I kept saying, well, let's look at the Indians. Just like Taz said, this one group gets 70% of the high-skilled foreign worker visas. They're used to prop up the Asians. So your Asian argument, why are they doing better? First of all, if you don't understand the immigration process, then you didn't understand that it was one generation. And then next thing happened, let's bring some more of their family in. And then after that, let's bring in a talented group of them to even take that number up further. If you don't understand that, then you're just missing the whole social, economic, and political argument. SKC, now your presence will be all right, man. Ain't nobody tripping off you, bro. We know you disagree, man. We go to every panel and push back. The B1 network has become notorious for being disruptors of the circle jerk.
Listen,
you're like, nigga, fuck y'all circle jerk. Y'all ain't talking about shit no way, nigga.
Sold, not told.
Right. But this is the thing. This is the thing right here, brother Moses.
About being on code.
This is the thing here, brother Moses. Mm-hmm. Because when we talk about the topics we talk about, they're thinking we're talking again, like you said, because you laid it out beautifully when you talked about basically racism in America. You took it from, again, the interpersonal level all the way through the systemic issues. We're not talking about just that base level, that white dude on the street being racist. We're talking about this shit coming from on high down through history.
That's right.
That's what the fuck we're talking about. And they refuse to acknowledge that. They think we're talking about, just the individual. No, we're talking about the fact that, guess what? A black man with a clean record will still be overlooked for a white dude with a criminal record. We're talking about how white people don't have to deal with things like police profiling. We talking about how my kids will probably be shot. My kids could possibly be shot by the cops because, according to studies, black children are looked at 2, 3, even 4 times older than what they actually are. We're talking about shit like that. Like, come on.
We got real life examples.
It was a real live body bag when that 41% of the government workers being black. That was a body bag point, man. You know what I'm saying? I think it just got kind of glossed over for some reason, but just for the topic itself, you can't say we're not competing if we're the most hired. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's silly, man. I thought that was a body bag talking point.
Mm-hmm. And then it's almost like they don't they haven't heard about this study at the University of Chicago, where the intrinsic bias study that they had did, where if your name
SKC, the game to be
black,
sold, not told, nigga.
man, if your name sounded black, they wasn't gonna hire you, or they wasn't gonna even call you back.
Those were the ones I was going to give him, but I was like, man, he don't even deserve this work. So I just left that off the table and in my notes.
Yeah, but I mean that because he didn't know about it, right? Because he didn't know, you could tell he didn't know about it because of how reckless he was talking. You know, like he don't understand intrinsic bias. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to give him the Harvard study. The Harvard had that implicit bias assessment or implicit association assessment. Even darker. It even has colorism, not just racism. The world's America says they're not racism. It's over 1 million people. I was not finna get that nigga that. I was not finna give him that.
You talking about that joint you did the presentation on where they were changing colors and shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, bro, that shit, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He didn't see that. So a lot of this shit we be talking about you almost have to go back and even explain just the foundation of what you're talking about, because like you said, you can't really rebut something in 4 minutes that's gonna take 10 to explain. You know
that's right. If you don't know the basics, you can't argue, you can't debate with me yet. You're still not on the basics. You don't know about immigration policy, how it's been enacted. You don't know about the education system, how it's been funded. You don't know about the Jim Crow rights or home ownership as a major tenet. So for me to have to keep explaining the Homeowners Loan Association and how Homeowners Loan Association, that's how you get the loans, bruh. FHA is the Federal Housing Authority. If I got to keep saying those same things to you on how that was private owned, FHA is federal. That partnership, they couldn't come to terms, so FHA adopted the same standards as the homeowners association. That's why our grandparents didn't own the homes. Our parents, even today, you could use the stat, oh, we're less than 50% homeowners, but you have to understand how that ties into it. Your grandparents didn't own a home. Your mom and them never owned their home. They still paying on that same fucking mortgage. Nigga, and you want to say that we're not competing? We're competing, but we're competing against institutional issues. It's in the fabric.
See, Brother Moses, what they don't understand is, what they don't understand is we've been fighting uphill with skates on since 1865.
That's right.
Okay, bro. What don't you understand about that? Then, you know, for you to come and say, you know, shake your finger at our people after they've been fighting this long, and that's why I don't understand their argument. I don't get it. I wish somebody could try to.
I told you what it is already, brother Rob.
But of course, I told
you what it is, brother Rob. But I can even go more nuanced than what I said. We got to think about it like this. We've always had those amongst us who have sat here, like again, the Boule. Brother Moses has spoken on that before as well. But we've always had those who've always looked down, even within the group, who think because they've accomplished and achieved something that they are above the problems of the group until they have their moment. Because you got to remember, we've talked to some of these people, and Taz has asked them, I've asked them, have you ever been pulled over? When this is when we're talking about interpersonal shit. It's still a form of institutional racism when you have police doing it, but it's still on an interpersonal level. When you have, you know, random white women or random white people calling the cops on, you know, black people for absolutely no reason. But you'll ask them a question like, have you ever been pulled over for no reason? Have you ever been followed in the grocery store, in the mall? Have you ever gotten a side eye while you're just walking down the street? Anything like that has ever happened to you? And you know what you'll hear from them? No. So they don't even have that. I would have to sit here and say basic black experience, because again, they'll sit here and say, well, you know what? I was fortunate enough to live in a very, I live in a very, very nice area. Okay, motherfucker, I understand you got that. Or you'll hear, I lived in the hood, but I didn't let the hood tear me down. So basically, you were oblivious to your surroundings. You were oblivious to the shit going on around you. So since you feel like it didn't affect you, the shit don't exist. That's what it is, bro. These motherfuckers, it boils down to that. They don't give a fuck because it didn't happen to them. To them, it's their favorite word to use. It's all excuses.
And that was my problem. I was like, look, I know you want to have this on a personal level and very very one household at a time, but that's not where I'm at. Look, what you see on the screen. Trump has also said he would issue an executive order to investigate visa abuses. That order has not been signed yet. So we're talking about something that's in the works right now, but it still has historical ramifications. And so you can't dismiss what happened before. These bigger institutional conversations. You're talking about Black society, right? I have to harp on that, twin. It is we are bigger than what they want to imagine us to be. They want to try to microcosm us to the welfare mom. That is a 90s argument. That wasn't even the case. We've already debunked that and said the white women are the ones who are more on welfare. Affirmative action, we fought for that, but who actually benefited? The white women actually benefited. The bastardization of minorities to include everybody else when it was essentially Black folks fighting for human rights or for our rights here in America has been bastardized. So we're still competing against institutional racism, even the ones that want to equivocate with that term and make it all inclusive of everyone else. So we got a couple of more quick slides here, or quick points that I wanted to drive home just to make sure everybody actually knew what this was. So when we're talking about those Indians, this is how they are defined by the United States Census. According to the 10 census, and they don't have another one until 20, or I would have had better data. The Asian Indian. So number one, you already don't even know that they're considered Asians. So we're not talking on the same space. In the United States, grew from 1.6 million in 2000 to 2 million. So you're arguing 46 million against almost 3 million. And I've showed you that 70% of those H-1B visas for the last 2 years. So that's almost over 100,000, 150,000 visas from these companies where they make over $100,000 a year are going to them. So 150,000, what happens to the rest of the less than 150,000? What happens to the rest of the 2.85 million of them? Now it has to be less because they're only at 2.8 now. 150,000, we'll put it at 2.7 million. The 2.7 million can be those people working at a motherfucking grocery store for their dad, doing boxes and selling motherfuckers blunts and shit, making just above minimum wage. But they're propped up because they have people who are considered a part of their society in this 2.8 million who make $100,000. Do we get that? But that has been a trend since 2011, 12, 13, and 14. That we're talking about a BRIC country or an emerging nation. That's Brazil, Russia, India, and then China. 2 of them being Asian. But because they're emerging or they're considered middle-class countries, they get favoritism. They can come in with skills that allow them to compete with us economically once they come in. They'll grow at a slower rate. But as I showed you on a previous chart, they're coming in and they're already fucking up those people who have been here. Why? Because of these jobs and these visas, which is the same reason why it's going up to debate all the way up to the damn White House. And excuse me for thinking I could have that conversation with that guy. It just doesn't work. PewResearch.org is another one. The U.S. Asian population grew 72%. So this one starts at the early 1900s. Like I tried to tell them, you have to look at this in different sections. What happened over time matters because those different ripples in the tide impact your progress. When they start doing for others and not doing for us, even though we're the ones doing all the damn political fighting for all of this shit. And so as you see, around 1965, as I pointed out earlier, that's when you'll start to see the dramatic increase in the Asian population growing here. So that's the 60s. That was born. So my mom has to not only compete with them, but then as they're moving into going to get their family, those next first generationers, they're coming in, and that's who I have to compete with in the schools. And they're speaking the other languages during the test, and they're able, they studied harder. No, motherfucker, I've been in gifted and talented programs. I sat next to them motherfuckers. They cheated their ass off like the other civilizations or the other people. but then you'll see that number continue to spike up towards its 20 million. So again, their demographic is less than half of us. If you have the privilege of not being institutionally disenfranchised economically or politically, damn, why is my mic still fucking up? Damn, bro, Gab, you're going to have to send me a mic, man. If I do good this year, you're going to send me mics that work better than the one I got. But anyway, those are the numbers.
So, Brother Moses, this is the thing, though. Like I said, bro, you're dealing with people on some real, they see everything, and they really see everything in black and white. There's no nuance in it at all. So, again, you have a very, very strong point with these H-1B visas. But then then you built upon that point with the discrimination within the educational system and the job market altogether. But then we're not talking about the other, and then we can get on the interpersonal level of this shit. Because then we just have a scandal last year. Of people paying their way, meaning paying their kids to get into college, to sit here and change their test scores to get them spots in these Ivy League schools. And if you go to some of these Ivy League schools, depending on who you are, you can get straight into a corporate job.
Absolutely. So, they're recruiting heavy on those campuses.
We're fighting this battle on many fronts, and it's not being acknowledged. And when someone points it out, again, they just chalk it up to you making an excuse for not trying hard.
But they won't look at what you see on the screen here.
It's rigged. I don't give a fuck how hard I'm trying. If it's rigged from the beginning, I'm not going to win.
Look, twin, I told you where I was at: social, political, and economic. The social he didn't want to talk about. He just wanted to say black women ain't shit for aborting babies and all of that. All right, if that's as deep as you're going to go, you don't want to talk interpersonal. You don't want to talk stereotypes, prejudices, deep-seated beliefs, implicit biases. You don't want to talk sociology. So let's talk about the politics. He didn't want to talk politics. Economics was just the median income. And I said, look, we compete domestically and abroad. Thought I did a good job, but it was too much for him to comprehend. So let's come back to the politics. HR 559, Northern Mariana Islands Long-Term Legal Residence Relief Act. So while the president on one hand was saying, look, we have to reform our H-1B visa policy, he was helping out those long-term residents. Why? Enacted and signed by the president June 25th, 2019. So it's political that we're competing up against. Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants Act of 2019 passed the House and the Senate July 10th, 2019 with 311 co-sponsors. Secure and Protect Act by Lindsey Graham. We know that's the counterpart to Tim Scott, the black man there in South Carolina. Only had one co-sponsor. It was introduced in August and it hasn't moved since. Farm Workforce Modernization Act. All of these different ones that have to do with that visa and where they will be working. A resolution recognizing Filipinos with their month. Refugee Protection Act. So what are we actually talking about? I asked this man a serious question to see if he was serious, but he's not actually serious, and therefore the debate goes nowhere. Asylum Reform and Border Protection Act, Immigrant Investors for the people who invest in immigrants, Investor Act, Syrian allies, agriculture workers, Afghan allies, refugee protection, and the Black society. We've put reparations and they don't even want to talk about it. So nigga, yeah, we are competing against institutional political frameworks. They have actual people pushing these initiatives. We have people who may not be pushing them. So the B1 network pushes back against the Congressional Black Caucus. Fuck you. If you can't take a joke, look at these motherfuckers. Stop Cruelty to Migrant Children Act. That's how they worded it. Why? Because they wanted the reintroduction of, well, we need to do something for their families. We need to reunite the families. But it was just another veil to allow more illegal immigrants or immigrants in that compete on these bigger jobs. H-1B visa reform. Anyway, that conversation was the one that I thought we could go into because the brother was not adequately prepared to have a real discourse on it. The debate ended up just being circular and what about Nigerians and shit like that. Just other ways to keep throwing blacks under the bus. And so I'm almost glad that he didn't get that level of work because it would have, I don't know, it definitely would have discouraged people on the other side from having the debate. Facts are facts. We are competing, and we are competing against real issues and real things. And so again, I'll tell you, just like this, at the very beginning, he had already bodied himself.
Hey, Brother Moses, I was gonna say, when you're done, stop sharing your screen and your mic might come in a little better.
Okay. Oh yeah, that is the thing. They did say that. All right, I got you. So yeah. What the fuck does an intellectual mean? So is he just saying African Americans are dumb? I think that's what he wanted to do with the 4th grade literacy rate. But anyway, educational, we had that conversation. I think that would be up for people to determine whether or not that education versus the 86 graduation rate, whichever number they want to go with. Now back to economics. I told you 3 very clear: social, political, and economic. Which one do you want to debate on? And then I said we compete on a global scale, or domestic as well as international. My points were very clear, and everything else that happened, I don't know, it just happened. And there you go. We are performing. But anyway, we got Kenny that just came up. Kenny, my guy. What up, my guy? And let me stop sharing.
What's good, Brother Moses? What's good? Happy New Year to all of you gentlemen on the panel and people in the chat, man. Twin Man, good to see you. Time Bandit. Brother Moses, man, once again, well prepared as you always are. And as I also went on Brother Fantastic's panel, I gave him props too. I mean, like I said, any debate is always going to be good when it's a formal debate where there's not so many ad hominem attacks. You all are just going off straight, talking points. But what I did is, like I said in the chat yesterday in TPOT's chat, I said that I gave the edge to you because you had actual PowerPoints and things that could substantiate your talking points. And whenever you have that, you're always going to be a winner to me. So that's why I gave the edge to you. I mean, even though, Fantastic had his moments, like I said, for me, your evidence and what you had substantiated your talking points much better. So that's what I said. I mean, I thought that like I said.
Can I ask you a question real quick, bro?
Yeah, what's up, brother Twin Man?
Can you please tell me a moment Fantastic had? Because from what I listened to, he made no sense. Some of his arguments made no sense. I'll give you an example. He talked about how these Arabs are able to come over here, and they're able to open up these gas stations and shit like that. But then, if you get into the nuance of it, because if you just sit here and just go by that one baseline statement, you would sit here and say, well, okay, that's showing that Black people aren't competing. But then he's not going to talk about how, they come over here again and they're propped up on policy. So I need you to give me a moment, because there's really nothing that I heard him say that was really that's a good point.
Hey, Twin Man, did you come in at the first beginning, or were you there for the whole debate? I think in the beginning, he started off really good. I think where he slipped off, I think where he slipped is when he went about the Spanish thing and all, that I think is where he started to slip a little bit, with the whole Latin culture and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, me personally, I was looking so much in the chat because there was so much going on, but I heard here and there. But what I saw Moses doing, like I said, is more, for the debate structure. Brother Moses had his evidence and his substantiating stuff together better. That's what I think. All of his material was more substantiated in his talking points. That's why I gave the edge to Brother Moses. As far as Fantastic, I mean, I can't take nothing away from the brother. The brother always comes to debate. He never backs down from a debate. So in that sense, you always got to give him props. It's just like anyone that debates. You have to give anyone that debates props, no matter if they're well prepared or if they're not well prepared. But you always have to give them props for going up there on the platform to expound on their points. Because like I said, not everybody can do that. I know I'm not one that likes to go up there and debate because that's just not what I do. But I always come up to share my opinions. But that's what I would say. That's what I would say to that, man. As far as
I felt like his argument was based off of more of an opinion. I don't really feel like he gave facts during the debate. He gave more of his. This is how I feel. This is my opinion. This is what I see. No, bro. I needed some evidence. Brother Moses again laid out from an historical standpoint, to a present standpoint, to an institutional standpoint.
He
did all of that to bolster the argument that not only are we competing, but despite the discrimination, despite the institutional racism, look where we've come from then to now.
Yeah, so you know what I think that is too?
I need you to give me something profound or something based in fact that Fantastic said.
Yeah. First, let me just say this. I think Brother Moses is more seasoned as far as debating. You were on a debating team, right, Brother Moses? All that kind of stuff. I think Brother Moses, he understands how the debate goes. He understands how to pick out stuff to substantiate his arguments. So that's what I would give to Brother Moses. I mean, he knows the debating tactics. I think as far as Fantastic, I'm not actually sure if he's been on any kind of debating team or he understands debates as far as how they go as in structure. But I'm not taking nothing from Mr. Fantastic. As far, like I said, when he first came on in the debate, the first question that was asked, I think he gave a good answer.
But
did it beat Moses' answer?
He stopped at
no,
like
it didn't.
4 or 5 minutes, and he was supposed to have 7 minutes.
Right. I mean, you don't actually have to use the whole time though in a debate. I just think you need to be concise and clear in what you're trying to convey. So I think he thought he was clear and concise. So that's why he didn't use the whole minutes.
Kenny, come on, man.
Enough information.
If it's one thing I like about you, you are objective. I'll give you this. He does come to debate, but some of his arguments were just ridiculous. He contradicted himself several times in the debate. That's what I'm saying. If I'm not a trained debater, but what I do is I listen to what you say. So, and we already know. Like I said, the minister's main talking point is, but when it's not about black women, when they are talking about black people in general, is black people don't compete. Now, and so if we're going to have a debate on how black people don't compete, you can't stand by your basic talking point that y'all try to preach anytime you talk about us as a collective. You've already lost.
And my thing is this: if we agree to like a 7-minute debate, and then you show up with 5 minutes worth of material, that's a signal that you didn't prepare. You weren't ready. And then we supposed to have 3 minutes back and forth, and you cutting your answer short. You were supposed to be prepared for enough material to cover the time limit.
You know what I would say to that too? Also, anyone that's operating from a black first objective probably will have more detailed information to make their points stronger. So, being that Brother Moses was operating from a black first perspective, I think that's why he had more of the stronger evidence or stronger information to support his side of the argument, and that's what also makes it different. I think when you have a passion for a subject topic,
like Fantastic had a first round choke. He choked in his first round. He couldn't even get his bars off. He didn't make it to the full 7 minutes.
It always comes down to what passion you have for the subject, the subject matter you're debating. And personally, I think that Brother Moses just has a stronger passion for the subject matter. I mean, it's dealing with black people and black people, seceding and being more, competitive. So I think that alone gives Brother Moses the edge because he's going to make sure he has evidence substantiating his claims of why he thinks that's the case. So that's why I also think that happened too.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Kenny.
I can't argue that.
But I mean, just from what I listened to, like I don't think he was even able to really follow along to a lot of the shit Brother Moses was going with, because he like literally laid out how just the spending power, as Fantastic like to call it, that we have. Like we in ourselves, we have a larger economy than most of the world with our $1.2 trillion. That was easy to follow. That wasn't hard to stick with. And then pointing out if this shit was actually on equal footing, our spending power would be what, double that, Brother Moses?
It adds another
I don't understand
2.1
how that was
trillion
hard
to our
follow.
economy.
I personally would like to see another debate with these two gentlemen, to be honest. I mean, both of them.
It's not fair, bro. It's not fair. It wouldn't be fair.
He would have to let me make his PowerPoint for him.
Because the Fantastic only gonna debate against what you saying. He not gonna bring statistics and fact for what he's saying. He only gonna go against what you saying.
Again, you can't sit here and say, oh, it's a fallacy to sit here and say black people aren't competing when y'all literally say black people aren't competing on a daily basis. So basically that tells me you have no principles, you have no core values. You just shifting with the wind. Because I want now, Supreme King Kun, you are up here. If I am lying, tell me I am lying. Because I've heard plenty of y'all manosphere dudes sit here and say black people are not competing.
Well, when I was speaking with Xavier, when he was talking about the debate itself, I mean, I don't think he had enough time to change the topic, because I spoke to him the day before, but I just thought that there was a huge hole in the topic. I didn't think that it was nuanced enough in order to really be profitable, because I mean, I'm pretty sure Brother Moses picked up that the easiest way to defend a position was just to say, hey, competing is just basically showing up.
But hold up, bro. I hear what you're saying, but there is no nuance in that discussion when people in the manosphere say, hold on. There is no nuance in the conversation when they say black people are not competing. Only thing you hear is black people don't want to compete. Black people are not competing. We're being lazy and we're letting other groups come in and outwork us and go over top of us. There's no nuance in that debate. So now you can't sit here and say, so now you cannot come up here and sit here and say, oh, the title need to be more nuanced to help him. No. If the talking point y'all like to say is black people aren't competing, quantify that shit.
Okay. If I could just reply to him. I think two things that are being done. I think you and maybe others are taking the subject of the debate and trying to expand it beyond what the topic actually was. I think that there's like some underlying animosity between both sides, instead of just two minds coming and presenting their points. Now, whenever there's an acceptance that there's some type of underlying animosity between two groups, both sides could lend towards their bias. And again, that's just that it doesn't matter at that point what points are brought up. The other side is automatically going to say,
respectfully, I gotta stop.
I won.
Respectfully, I have to stop you, because the animosity does not come from this side. We will lay out quite literally a historical case for the status and the state of the community now, and it is deemed as an excuse.
Okay, so
this is my point, Supreme King Kun. I could give you that. I could give you that if it was coming from both sides. We will sit here and again have facts, evidence, historical documentation to back up what we say. But the only thing we will get, hold on, let me finish real quick. Let me finish real quick and then you can have it. The talking point again, and I'm gonna take it back and I gotta hold you down on that talking point. We are not competing. We are just making excuses to not compete. We don't want to compete, and we're letting other groups come and take our spot that's rightfully ours. So again, I have to hold you right there to that talking point because I've heard it way too many times to let it shift and move to sit here and say it needs to be a more nuanced discussion. We have consistently said on the B1 network, there's a lot of nuance in these discussions. And no, when it comes to some of y'all, and then I'm gonna be real, most of y'all try to make it a black and white argument. So no, with that talking point, y'all have always kept it black and white. So again, quantify how
if I could just interject just really briefly, Twin. Who debated yesterday?
Brother Moses and Fantastic.
Okay. Does Brother Moses and Brother Fantastic represent the entire diaspora of both sides of these camps, as it were?
But hold on, I can't let you have that either, because
I'm just asking a question.
Say,
I gotta always be a yes or no question.
Hold on. I got this, Time Bandit. Because again, this is a great deflection. I'm not going to let you deflect. Of course, Fantastic does not represent the entire manosphere, just like Brother Moses does not represent the entire train of thought of the B1 network.
Okay, so why is this
I'm not done because I'm not going to let you get away with that, because he has said out of his own mouth, black people aren't competing. That he had his Fantastic himself has used these talking points. So again, if he's using the talking points and he's using that as a belief, and he believes black people aren't competing without interjecting that nuance, he's wrong, correct?
Hey, let me get in here.
I'm not here to argue who's wrong or who's right. What I was saying is that you're taking a debate that happened between two people, and then you're trying to inject everyone else as if this was some type of group thing.
And fuck all that.
And it wasn't. I don't think that there were. You mentioned my name.
You mentioned my name. You hear me talk?
Could I speak?
No, coming up on some bullshit. I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm not gonna let you do that, because this is the same typical. Listen, what you about to say, and I hear you, but just because you are your own person, you're speaking as an individual. You have your individual success. That don't have nothing to do with the masses of our people. The majority of our people that's in the situation that they're in. Don't come up here with that bullshit. So we know damn well what the debate was for and why they was having the debate and the conversation. If you got individual success, that's for you. That's just for you.
I never stated anything about that.
No, you said they don't represent all of the diaspora. So yeah, we don't represent you. So why the fuck do you care?
I don't understand what you're saying, George.
You know exactly what I'm saying.
No, I don't.
Like, come on, man. Like, don't listen. Hey, Brother Moses, I told you, we gotta stop talking to these people, man, because it don't get you nowhere. It's pointless. It's pointless. You don't have to come up and cuss and holler. I'll do that. But I know what you're doing when you do it. I'm not stupid. We don't listen. Those two guys don't represent all of the diaspora. So what you're saying is they don't represent you. They don't represent you. So if we don't represent you, then why even come up to talk to us?
That's not my point at all.
Come on, man.
My point at all was saying what is being done by Twin is taking a debate that happened between two people and then trying to extract that debate to say this, what Brother Moses was saying, represents everything that the guys in his corner believe and have ever said, while at the same time saying everything that
see this one, man. You see this one, man.
Everything that all the guys within that whole diaspora believe and have said.
Real quick, and I'm gonna let you have it back. I'm gonna interject real quick because I'm gonna let you have it back. Because when it comes to the fundamentals of what we stand for, we are actually aligned. When we talk about things like the institutional racism, the history of this nation, and the oppression of our people, we are aligned on that. So there are things in the B1 network at our core principles we all believe. Now, this is why I said I can't let you say what I assumed was a core belief from dudes in the manosphere, because y'all consistently repeat it over and over and over again. And that goes to this talking point of competition. So if I consistently hear from people in the manosphere that Black people aren't competing, that would tell me that y'all, and again, no one's pushing back against that when it's being said. No one's pushing back against it except the B1 network. So again, if that is a core belief in the manosphere, and now you're coming up here to sit here and say that, hey,
a lot of echo
response to that conversation, how can I not sit here and say, how can you not come up here and admit that that is a very wrong talking point? That's something very wrong that y'all are saying.
Because he doesn't agree. Listen, instead of him just coming up here and saying, you know what, I don't agree with what y'all saying because that doesn't represent me. The arguments that we bring to the table, all Supreme King Kun got to say, because I've heard him say it over the time that I've been listening, not in this this conversation now, but in previous conversations, just come up and say it don't represent you. So our history, what we talk about, doesn't represent you. Just say it. You don't have to come up here and do all this other shit, man. I respect you more when you just keep it real the way you used to. Just say it don't represent you.
I have no idea what George is talking about.
Of course you don't. That's why I told you, Brother Moses, we got to stop talking to these people because it's a waste of time.
Man, he know what you talking about, man.
When you admit that y'all just sitting here and y'all just basically are standing, yeah. I'm not. I hate to say this. It seems like y'all standing for nothing, and y'all quite literally have a problem with Black women. Because if you're telling me now that one talking point, because mind you, there's several other talking points I can point to that definitely have nuance that needs to be attached to it that y'all refuse to have a nuanced conversation about. But if you're telling me that, if you're coming up here now saying that competition talking point deserved a nuanced conversation, and that we can't take everything Fantastic said and apply it to the manosphere when y'all don't have the nuanced conversation and just sit here and say that we're not competing and that overall as a community we're just failing because we're just lazy and we don't want to work hard and shit like that. This is shit that y'all have said in the manosphere. So again, if now you're coming up here and saying that is not accurate and that needs a nuanced conversation, Supreme King Kun, I'm gonna ask again: are you willing to admit that that was wrong of the manosphere to say?
When did the manosphere say this?
Listen, stop letting
no equivocations, SKC. Hey, let me do something real quick, and hopefully the mic doesn't go out too bad. I want to drive home one more point, if y'all don't mind, and then I'm gonna bring in Brother George. So I'm gonna share real quick, and then we're gonna get right back into it. Appreciate everybody that's joining and liking in the chat. Be sure to hit that like button. You know how these Google Analytics go. We got some people in the B1 network who probably don't even know that we live and we rocking over here. Look, when I say the B1 network, I'm talking about people who, we've come to this realization that it's time to put Black first. And it doesn't matter if you're working in corporate America. We don't always agree on some of these things, but corporate America, government job, whatever position you're at, there is an affirmation that you can make. There is something that you can be doing, whether it's volunteering, it's showing up, but doing something. And because we can share that tenet, I think that it's important for us to continue to have our spaces where we take time to reflect and where we take time to dive into some more impactful information. So the one that I want to show again one more time is just this slide. My whole argument was resting on this premise. When you talk about the African-American community or the Black society, it's going to be imperative to do so in a way that's fair. Arguing against those populations with a smaller denominator is going to allow room for their upper echelon to carry the weight better for their underperformers. We are 46 million out of all of these different, let me see what they are. Out of all of these different cultures or countries, I wanted to find one that would be a good equivalent, but that also spoke to the numbers that we had. It was Spain, but let me delete that because the number was actually bigger that I actually vetted. So even off the numbers, he said we're at 42. The median household income, and this was from 2006 to 2012. It was the best that I could find. If it's higher now, all right, I would have yielded that. but UK, France, Israel, who also those people, as we know, have historically received their reparations. Delete that and keep the list going. Luxembourg was higher. I was very fair with that. There are places that are doing better, but as a population, Luxembourg has a smaller denominator. Oh, God damn, what just happened? What you do to me, guys? Oh, this one here was the actual data and how many countries. So Greece, Cyprus, Italy, Malta, Spain, Czech Republic, Finland, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Slovenia, Qatar, or Qatar, however they call it, Belgium, Israel, France, United Kingdom. All of these are, as an economy, looking at median income as our measure. And then look at them. If you start here, France is 65 million. I wouldn't have used that one. United Kingdom, 67 million. Even though they were on there, I couldn't use them because they're bigger than us. These smaller ones, Qatar, Slovenia, they're smaller. So it's not a fair comparison. I did what any scholar would do, is find an equivalent comparison and say, well, how are we comparing as a society to one that is equal of size, equal of education, you know, the other elements like unemployment, some of the same similar challenges, except they don't have the distinctness of being descendants of slavery here in America. So take that information, find one, compare against them, and then say, despite institutional racism, we're still doing better than what you see there on an equivalent society. And that's what I did. He wanted to say, well, we're looking at median income for blacks versus the Asian in America. So I can show you that there's only about 10 million of them or 20 million of them, and that they also have a top heavy demographic due to the H-1B visa process, and it goes right over his head. He wants to say, well, look at these Hispanics. They're Latin American, and they're coming and they're driving wealth. But you can't give them the nuances that say, well, look, they come from an underrepresented demographic or whatever it is, a poor nation. So they're able to benefit in other ways. Off small, but when they start earning hourly wages, then you can see their wage in, which you would see them have a median that beats our. But from a top line premise, those who are not born in America and come over here are beating all Americans, not just Black Americans. And what I had, that's what I thought that I could deliver. So I wanted to make sure that information was plain as day, that when we talk about African Americans, that we look at us on a comparative lens, one that says, look, talk about Black, those are some talking points that you would have. Larry Elder took the argument a bit further. He said we would be the 16th largest economy in the world. The 16th largest economy in the world. That's Black society. So anybody who's saying otherwise, they're just missing the actual point. Look, man, we're competing against big odds, but we're competing well. Anyway, that's all I got right there. I'm gonna cut this off and let the conversation continue with Brother George Macon.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna jump off.
Yes,
you know, I've heard this, brother. Well, I'll say this first, Brother Moses, because you know we've done plenty of videos together discussing what you just showed. We got plenty of videos on the George Macon One channel for the last year and a half, really breaking this stuff down. You know, historical, not just talking points, but just bringing the data, bringing the information. I've seen this brother Supreme. I mean, the band's name is Supreme King Coon. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, in different chat rooms, you know, getting at me, and you know, just I've gotten at him about things he said. But clearly, my thing is, I'm too old to be bullshitting around and just pussyfooting and tiptoeing and do the tulips. Listen, man, this guy's anti everything that we stand for and talk about. And it's not just him on the panel now, and he's knows that I'm not disrespecting him or just making up nothing. It's based off of his actions and his words that he said throughout Black YouTube since I've been around. So the things that we talk about, he absolutely has no respect for. And this is why I'm imploring my brothers to not be in discussions with these type of people, because they come up here to troll. He has no respect for the work that we do or the work that we're trying to do. They look at us as simps and suckers. So, you know, we sit out here, you know, there are Black people that's out here that has individual success, but other groups come here to compete as groups. And our issues in America is psychological. Yeah, we got a spending power, but we're psychologically messed up in our heads. So we're not conditioned to compete as a group. We move as individuals. So I'm telling my brothers, man, with all the work that we do, You know what I mean? You know, trying to bring awareness to our people. Stay away from these type of people because he's not coming. He's not coming in a form of friendship. He's coming in the form of trolling. He's coming in the form of trolling. And I would respect the brother more if he just came up here and just kept it a buck. I mean, a man named is Supreme King Coon. That's opposite of everything that we stand for. And I mean, that's just how I feel, man. I mean, you know, y'all can continue to talk to these type of people, but as long as they're going to continue to disrespect what we stand for, man, I can't respect these people. I rest on
that. SKC, anything else you got before you go on off? That's my big brother George, man. I don't listen to everything he says, so you got one time to shout. What you got?
Sure. I'll just quote Shakespeare. What's in a name? People can, judge by the name or whatnot. I've given or provided a detailed understanding of the meaning of my name. I did it yesterday on Gab's channel. There's been other places, kind of like the Prophet of Thought, that I've talked with him, and others before your debate. I had a debate with Jay Sean, and actually, still to this day, even Prophet of Thought says that it was the most relaxed and open conversation between two individuals that were on polar opposites of a conversation. That's part of what I have done. When I was the timekeeper for your debate, I think that you can attest that I did nothing that was aggressive or passive aggressive in any way. I tried to be as fair as possible. And even afterwards, I spoke to you about things, just having fun between you and I. Going beyond that, there's been times with my own group, as you could say, where I've talked to individuals and debated with them and stated there are some views that I do not hold. It is what it is. Have I gotten into trolling with people? Yes, I sure have. You saw in the debate last night with me just being there, how many people within your own camp came at me for no reason whatsoever. And I didn't reply. I didn't come at them with anything.
I have to stop you there, brother. I have to stop you there because it's not no reason, because you're overlooking something very important, something George said. We've heard you, bro. We've listened. Our memory is real long.
And have I not heard you all as well?
If you're coming in the gate talking down on blackness, Supreme King Cool, let me try to get you to understand.
Okay, Twin.
I'm trying to get you to understand something, bro.
This is the fourth time that you've interrupted me.
I know, and I'm not trying to be rude, but there's just certain things I can't let you have because I got to give you some perspective on it. Again, we were talking about nuance. How would now again, bro? You're talking to men who are very proud of their blackness, who love their people, who love their community, and want the community to get better. And you've been involved in conversations talking about that community should burn. How do you think that's going to be received by us?
I still hold that.
Do you think that conversation is going to go well?
It just depends on how intellectually balanced the individual is.
I mean, you came into a conversation basically saying your whole community should burn down. Yes, there's no nuance in that. There's no intellectual level on when it comes to that. If I come to you basically saying, because when I hear that, I'm gonna tell you what I hear as a proud black man who loves my people.
You get emotionally charged. That's what you do.
Hold on, you said you still ascribe to that the black community should burn?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, talk to you. There you go, Twin Man.
Thank you, brother Moses.
But see, this is what I don't get. That's intellectually dishonest. How do you come in talking about you want the community to burn and then want to have an intellectual conversation?
Thank you.
There's no intellectual conversation.
Now we're not being reasonable, nigga. I live in that house that would be on fire. Fuck you mean?
Hey, but look, brother Moses, watch this, right? See, this is the part that upsets me when they say that. What about the school teacher and the bus driver and the construction worker and all these people that still live in the community that get up and go to work every day? The blue collar worker that go to work.
They got to burn with them.
They got to burn with them, right? That pay taxes. What about them?
Man, I go to work every day, man. I work with black folks who go to work every day. What the fuck you thought this was, man? Don't let this YouTube spaceship fool you.
Let's just think about that. That's why I said that's why I said I gotta stop you there. We're coming at you for the shit you say. You can't wish death on our community and expect to have a nice conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, he was just using that as
that's not going to go too far.
Metaphor. Satire, nigga. That ain't satire. They were burning our homes down. What the fuck?
This is the thing, though. We never came over there. I remember when I first came to O'Shea Channel, right? I never came over there bothering them. But really, you know, when I first came on there, I talked about black male accountability and us getting ourselves together. They called me. Now watch this. They always say that they should be able to have their talking points, right? But they called me a simp because I was married and I talked about getting the community together. They hated me.
Exactly.
That's where it started from. I didn't even know who those guys were.
Brother George, Brother Moses, Kenny, y'all know I wear a white suit of armor everywhere I go in YouTube because I think we should have respect for our fellow black men and respect our sisters and create black families. Somehow, some way that I'm white for every ill in the community.
Yeah, they call. Listen, when I talked about black male accountability, man, them dudes went ham on me. I was shocked. I didn't understand what was going on. And even when the first time I went on Obsidian Channel, nobody never told me. I didn't know anything about them and their group. So I went on there talking. Man, them dudes went ham on me. And I said, well, goddamn. And I said, well, goddamn, I'm a married man. I'm holding the family down. How am I a simp?
That's when even O'Shea said you were the deacon of defense.
This is the shit that I don't understand, and that's why I had to interrupt it. How do you attack viciously the beliefs of someone and then expect to have an intellectual conversation?
Because that's the psychosis. See, we got to remember, man, what I said earlier, twin man, our people, man, we suffer from crackatosis, man. Like that crackatosis thing is serious.
Hold on, did you say crackatosis, bro?
Crackatosis, man. Yeah, I mean, man, listen.
Crackatosis in 2020, bro. Crackatosis in 2020.
That thing is deep. So you got to understand something. When we fed a steady diet of losing, and Moses, you would appreciate this because you missed. I might do a part 2. I gotta have you on there. I did a stream earlier this morning about since from 2000 to 2018, there was 1,500 police shootings in Los Angeles, and only one police officer was charged. And from 2000 to 2012, the district attorney there said that he only seen one case out of the 1,500 that was worthy of being prosecuted. Now, when people hear that, they see that as just an article. But what we don't take into consideration is the consciousness of the people in LA that has to go through that pain. How many families was on the losing end of that? What does that do to you psychologically? So now,
but see, George, you hear what you're talking about right now? Mm-hmm. You see how you're bringing that nuance? You know what they'll say? What's the word I've been using since I've been up here, fellas? What is their favorite thing to say when we bring that fact? Because what George just said was a fucking fact. What would they say? That's an excuse.
That's an excuse.
You're making excuses for failing.
Because see, this is the thing, brother Moses and twin. We don't really understand the psychological effects that does. So now, when you hear these guys say "fuck pro-black," what I've sat down and meditated and learned on this now is it's not that they hate our talking points or our teaching. Being black hurt. Like a lot of our people can't take the pain of what it is to be black, to be judged. So they got to get that white girl mixed race these kids. They got to get that white man. They got to be associated with anything outside of black. Being black, I mean, look at all the stuff that we got to teach, that we had to fight from. That don't just because I might be more resilient and still love black, don't mean the brother next to me gonna be able to take that shit. This is what's going on. It's crackatosis. We fucked up. That's why I said our issues.
George, that's not even the problem. If you can't take it, fine. Don't sit here and try to make it seem like the whole community fucked up because you can't take it.
But that's part of the PTSD, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Listen to what I'm saying. Understand what I'm saying. What happens is this. when you got a people that listen, I said something this morning, right? On New Year's Day, a 26-year-old and 24-year-old got into an argument, right? It's on video. Got into a big argument. One was on one side of the car. They both pulled out guns and just ran at each other and just blew each other down to the ground. And when you look at that, right, you'll see and say, damn, these dudes just killed each other. But then when you step back, let's look at the psyche of these two young men. When you're dealing with men that don't have no hope, that don't care about nothing, they don't like their reflection, they see no value, then what the fuck do it even mean to be alive or black? This is what a lot of our people think when they look at black or anything where it got to do with this our people. They don't want to be associated with that shit. So we get upset and call it cool, but I'm looking at the psychological. When everything that we teach, there's a psychological pain connected to everything that we teach. So that's why at the end of all my videos, I say I love my people more than they hate themselves, because I know who the fuck I'm talking to. I'm talking to some sick individuals with crackatosis. They fucked up.
And y'all know I'm the bleeding heart on the panel. So let me say this, and then we're gonna wrap up. We got Nyla Says, who's live right now doing updates real quick. I don't know if they'll still be on long, so I do want to make sure that we shout them out for everything that they've done to help propel us in this space. And then we also got Brother King Riches, who is live talking about relationships are dangerous for men. She's a liability. Now, he seems to be a little bit more UK cis-bim, but the brother do be dropping some gems, though. He be having me crying as well. So those are the two channels that I think are live right now. If you like boxing, I also follow Boxing Ego, who's also live talking about Deontay Wilder, the king, the hate that Gervonta Davis is receiving. And then he also goes in on DAZN. So those are the three channels that I know are Black First type channels. Got that information out there that's going on. Let's wrap up here. Gentlemen, I would say post-debate analysis, we've done a thorough job of taking the conversation further than just saying, oh, I won the debate, because we actually provided even more contextual information that wasn't able to be presented in those 4-minute, rebuttal rounds and things. So because of that, hopefully we can continue to have debates later, but when we have those debates, hopefully they can learn from this first one that we have to produce some quality information. And when we get up there to actually have the debates, you know what I'm saying? You have to have gone through the whole process of saying whether or not my debate points are consistent, whether or not they're aligning with the position of the debate. And if not, then you'll be like Brother Fantastic, making excuses. Well, I can't win this, even after having spent an entire year almost saying the Black community is non-competitive or not competing, we're failing and all of that. Now, when he got called to the platform to debate it, now it's now they are competing, but we're kind of losing and we're underperforming, but we are still anyway. No equivocations. I came on and I tried to annihilate that shit. Could have been a little bit more entertaining, I would say, but for me, it was just for me to actually come on and present that information. So hopefully that was cool. Any last words from any remaining people on the platform before we go over and join some of our other brothers on their platform?
I just want to say I want to get you on that topic that I did earlier, Brother Mose. I'll probably call you after the show, because you from LA. I mean, not LA. You from California. I really want to talk about there's police shootings out there, because I never knew that it was 1,500 people shot since 2000 and only one cop was prosecuted. Like, that's fucking insane. That's insane. Right. I don't know how that.
I got you, bro.
All right.
Yes, sir. Twin, man, you've been on fire all day, man. We got to line you up with a debate with somebody, man. Keep this B1 thing flowing.
Like I said, this to make it even, I won't even prepare. I'll just let them talk and just crush them. But
reverse roles. How do you like it if we just keep debating against what you're saying and not actually giving you anything to debate against?
Right, because again, as you can see, Brother Moses, I hold people to what you say. I was raised that a man is nothing more than if your word isn't good enough, you're not a man. That's what my father taught me. So if you say something, that's what you believe. You feel me, Brother Moses?
Even in a debate, you got to hold your square the best you can.
And if anybody knows Twin Man 35, I stand on my square. My shit don't shift. It don't shift with the tide. It don't matter who's talking. I don't care who like it. I don't care who like me. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I say what I mean, and I mean what the fuck I say. And at the end of the day, it is more detrimental for Black people to sit here and talk down on other Black people. And that's why I sat here and I had to talk to him. I go front. I wanted to get mad because no, I'm not gonna let you wiggle out of it. I'm not. There's no more wiggle room, bro. If you don't like black people, just say you don't like black people, but just go over there. Don't make it seem like at the end of the day, you don't align yourself with the talking points, because you're one of these motherfuckers will be in the chat room. Facts, facts, facts. Now all of a sudden, oh, there needs to be more nuance. We've been telling y'all that shit for over a fucking year. It needs to be more nuance in these conversations. So all I gotta say is, great job on the debate. You crushed him. Doesn't matter what he says. You crushed him. And at the end of the day, be one for life. Good night.
That's right. Good night, man. Let's go. Wait, we got Kenny, my guy.
Yeah.
Kenny still there?
Yeah. What's up? Yeah, I'm still here, brother. Once again, Brother Moses, salute to you. Salute to George. Salute to Taz. Salute to the whole B1 network, man. What I like about you all and what I like about the whole network is you all are not just presenting circular arguments, but you're trying to present solutions. And that's the main thing I respect about the network in general and about the people in general. The thing is, we can't have circular arguments without presenting some solutions. So that alone is something to be respected. As far as Twin Man, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I think this brother's ready to debate someone. I don't know who it is, but hopefully
you're gonna have to debate Bro Rob or somebody. God damn it!
Yeah.
Hey, Twin be going in. He got the energy I need, man.
right. I think he's ready for a debate, no doubt about it. I know Obsidian at one time wanted to debate him. I don't know if it's still on or not, but yeah, I think he's ready to go up there and do his thing on the wherever the neutral ground it would be to debate. But yeah, salute, man, and like I said, we'll continue to keep putting out the good work, brother. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right,
I'm gonna close out on this one last note, and then I am going actually to Nyla Says channel. This last note again. All right. Yep. This last note again was about the solution. So remember, the debate had nuance already written into it. It was not just, are we competing, which he equivocated in the beginning, but is the system responsible or something along those lines? Is the white man holding us back? All of that. There was more inside the debate that was actually missed. Let me give it to you. Brother Fantastic versus Moses. Are we as a people competing, or is the system holding us back? What are the things that stand in our way, or do we create our own barriers? And so with all of that, not only did I want to give you the stats that show that we are competing, but I also wanted to provide the solution, which was aligned with those facts. And so I had to bring this out. The Ta-Nehisi Coates, he is just a writer for a broader network, which is The Atlantic. And he's the one who penned that case for reparations. We know that that is what's on our Black political agenda, or what we would hope to see become on our Black political agenda. Right now, it's, grassroots campaignish. But inside of that is where you'll find the real nuance. Let me see here if I can take this and move it for a second. It was that political opinion piece that cites the 2014 study by the University of Southern California. The name of the study is the Equity Report. It concludes the U.S. economy would expand by 2.1 trillion in GDP if racial minorities had equal access and opportunities in the job market. Many folks get distracted, just like we have politically, with this term minorities. It says if minorities, racial minorities, had equal access in the job market. And so they would be distracted by that point. What I was hoping to drive home was on this next slide. It was also substantiated by the CEO and co-founder of American Sustainable Business Council, which says that racial disparity is hurting our economy today. The sooner we address it, the sooner we can reap the rewards of a more equitable and vibrant economy. What does that mean? Our median household income goes up. By how much? Thanks for asking. So I went to the next slide, which actually brings that information out. Our share, that's 2.1 trillion. And even if we only get the minimum as blacks, and then all what keeps happening is those other ethnic groups keep getting bigger shares than even we get. So the white women would get like 56% of it. And then the Mexicans, they would get, whatever percent. And those others, foreign immigrants or whoever it is, once they get there, they'll get a percentage of this new wage, whatever it is, reconciliation, whatever happens. But for us, our share is typically around 10 to 20%. So even that is an addition of 210 billion to 420 billion. That is more capital for us to compete with. And we should start right there. As you see right here, solution. So it wasn't just about me having that conversation saying white folks are doing this, white folks are doing that. I showed you about the institutional racism, but I also provided a solution that is in line with it. If racial problems are the things that are preventing our economy from blowing up, then addressing those racial problems then allows for the economic solutions to be amplified. That was my solution. I put it on the table. He didn't want to argue against it. So anybody listening would have to say, look, we can go talking point for talking point. You say passport game or passport gang, those people who want to travel. Now imagine those people traveling saying, using the opponent's talking points. They get out there, they travel for sexual tourism or whatever reason they want to get out there. And they're like, yeah, I'm black and I have a 4th grade literacy rate. Yeah, I'm black and I had to run from my black women because they were oppressing me. I'm black and in my experience, I've always been failing in America because I couldn't compete. Or do you take the argument that says, yeah, I'm black, and not only did I get my diploma, I have my advanced degree or whatever it is. I'm black and I'm in business and my business is actually thriving. I do media development. I'm black and I'm, which one? When you get to whatever country, they're going to see you as being black. Regardless, they're going to look at you as the individual and put you in with that collective of blackness. So when you get there, which talking points would resonate better once you move into those spaces where you say you would want to go into? For me, I have to have the conversation from the high level. Why? Because these conversations are actually happening even in the political space when it comes to immigration and B1 visas and who do we hire, all of those different opportunities, who gets them. So that's why I took it serious. That's why I did my research. And that's why I brought a certain level of decorum and professionalism to that first debate of the new year. Problems or the where we're at, situation, problem statement, and then actual solution. That's how we debate. Peace. This is Brother Moses. Thanks everybody that rocked with us. Be sure to go join Nyla right now. Let me make sure that she's still live. Let me see. Oh, damn it. Did she leave already? The Black Brain Trust, they had one a little bit earlier talking about the debate as well. So I appreciate that from them. But let me see. All right. Yeah, we good. Headed over to Nyla's. Damn, she just went off. So, all right, man, my bad. I didn't talk us through the whole thing. I'm going to catch her restream, and then I'm going to probably jump on with Black Boxing Ego and listen to some more boxing talk, since that's my analogy. The dude got in the ring, had a good walk-in with the music playing and everything, got in the ring. The fat lady sang, and Buffett was like, let's get ready to rumble. They hit the bell, and he immediately started punching himself in the face. I'm like, damn, what's going on? And every round after that was the continuing to punch himself in the face. I don't even think I really had to fight that battle, but nevertheless, I did fight it. Domestic, international, we are competitive. Use fair analogies, and you'd see that we're competitive on a global scale. Larry Elder, one of their major talking points, even said the 16th largest economy. And that's just not something we can equivocate from. Black excellence, that's what we represent. So peace and Black power, and I'm out.